Here at Shea Stadium, starting pitchers developing relationships with leadoff hitters. Big crowd gathering here at Shea. Big walk-up expected today, as you would suppose anytime Pedro Martinez goes to the mound. Tonight taking on Brandon Webb in an ace pitching matchup. And last night marked the debut of the Mets' best position player prospect, as Lastings Milledge went 1 for 4 in his first game.
Well, he got up in his first at bat, and here he is showing up. He had some flight troubles coming in from Rhode Island, but finally made it. You see that's his first hit right there in the 7th inning. Excuse me. That was a curveball off a pitcher that really dominated the Met lineup. The pitcher that normally pitchers don't dominate this lineup. So that's a hit he'll always remember.
So Lastings Milledge coming up because the Mets had a need with Xavier Nady having to have his appendix removed. The Mets have had needs at the back end of the rotation, but so far they've resisted the temptation of bringing up their #1 pitching prospect, Mike Pelfrey. Chris Cotter has more on the Mets' phenom pitcher down on the farm.
Thanks, Gary. You know, I spoke with assistant GM Tony Bernazard before the game today about Mike Pelfrey, and he said they evaluate him daily, not only after a start at Binghamton, but also what he does in between starts. And so far in 6 starts this year, he's 0-1 with an ERA of about 3.5. But the most important thing about Pelfrey, Tony said, was first of all, getting him innings. Second of all, getting him in the rotation, because he pitched in college last year, so he's used to pitching just once a week as opposed to once every 5 days. And the most important thing was getting him comfortable, and that's what they're doing right now. So it isn't so much about numbers as it is about getting him comfortable. I asked if he had to, could they bring him up? And he said, he looked at me kind of with a smile and said, well, we want to keep him getting prepared at Binghamton. That's what they like to do ideally. Now, 2 other pitching notes. John Maine pitched last Saturday at Port St. Lucie, 5 innings. Tony said he looked great. He'll pitch tomorrow at Norfolk. He could be ready to go soon. Brian Bannister, not so soon. They'll reevaluate him at the end of June to figure out where they're going to go with him. Gary?
All right, thanks very much. And the Mets back into the rotation will probably continue to be a work in progress, and we'll probably see Pelfrey before long. Ball game coming up. Mets and Diamondbacks in a moment. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by ChevyOffers.com, the presenting sponsor of Baseball Night in New York. By Rico, move your ideas forward with Rico dependability. By Honda, see your Honda dealer and discover the great values now being offered. By Tractor Supply Company, the stuff you need out here. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. Pedro Martinez set to make his 11th start of the year, having gone 5 consecutive starts now without a win since his victory in Atlanta on the 28th of April. And here's the Rico Diamondbacks lineup to face him. And Luis Gonzalez among a number of Diamondbacks who've had success against Pedro in the past. Craig Counsell, Tony Clark, Johnny Estrada also all hitting over 300 against Pedro in their careers.
And of course, there's Pedro's numbers for the season. Could be 8 wins in there if they had scored some runs, as Gary said. The last 5 starts have been 4 no decisions and a loss, but all very fine pitched ball games. And the Geico Met defense, they made 2 errors last night, a rarity. It didn't cost them any runs. Got the basic same lineup as we've seen now with Milledge in right, Beltran, Floyd, right, Reyes, Valentin now getting the starting spot at second base. Delgado, of course, at first, and Loduca behind the plate.
And Pedro ready to go against Craig Counsell, who takes the first pitch for a strike. Counsell 3 for 10 in this series. He's done a nice job leading off for the Diamondbacks. .359 on base percentage. And Pedro gets ahead of him 0-2.
Pedro's coming out of the chute. First fastball 87. Second fastball 86. So he's just not quite geared up yet.
Ahead 0-2. And it's looped over short, but Reyes retreats one away. So Pedro gets Counsell lunging at the changeup for the first out. 1 out and nobody on. And here is Eric Burns, who's had himself quite a series already. He's hit 3 home runs in the first 2 games.
Well, we had 2 the first night, 2 solo shots. Well, they've all been solo shots, but you'll take them. 3 in a series, sure.
Now has 9 for the year, and he takes a strike.
You know what I've seen of Eric Burns so far is he's one of those scrappy, hustling type players, blue collar kind of player.
Curveball in for a strike, and Pedro threw a nothing but strikes early.
Well, you can see right here, watch the rotation of the ball. Now it has more of a tumbling action because it's a curveball, not a slider.
On 0-2, throws a change, and Burns has a base hit. His first non-home run base hit in this series.
And basically the same pitch, but it was more away as opposed to Traxel's, which was more over the middle, which he hit a home run on. Off-speed pitch, same approach for him. Fooled, kept his hands back, let go with one hand, and gets a line drive base hit in the left field. Nice hitting.
So Pedro has gone ahead of the first two hitters, come with a changeup, and had them lunging, but different results. Counsell retired, Burns with a base hit, and now LaDuca and Pedro in a rather lengthy discussion about what to do next against Chad Tracy. Tracy 4 for 9 in this series, including a 3-run homer on Monday night. The Diamondbacks last night got 2 runs in the first inning off Ole Soler. They got a run in the first inning against Steve Traxel the night before. Pedro would love to hang up a big 0 in the first inning tonight, particularly with Brandon Webb on the other side. And there goes Burns. LaDuca with a good pitch to throw, but not in time, and Burns has a stolen base. 6 steals on the year for Eric Burns.
Well, don't think that both clubs are geared up for this game and know that's going to be a tight one with these 2 good pitchers. So Burns right away aggressive, trying to make it happen. LaDuca with a good pitch to throw. It's a fastball, and it would had to have been a perfect throw to get Eric Burns.
Well, Willie Randolph was talking tonight about against Webb being aggressive and maybe putting some more runners in motion. Well, the Diamondbacks doing the same thing right off the bat. So here's Tracy grounding one foul past Carlos Tosca in the third base coaching box for the Diamondbacks. Bob Melvin, the Arizona manager, in his second season with the Diamondbacks. Remember, 2 years ago the Diamondbacks lost 111 games. Last year they went 77-85, and now this year they've taken another major step forward, 9 games over 500 and leading the National League West.
And that season right there where they lost 111, Brandon Webb was 7-16.
Tracy fouls it off. 1-2.
Those 16 losses for Webb 2 years ago led the National League, but his ERA in 35 starts was 3.59. So he pitched well, just pitched for a ball club that lost 111 games.
Yeah, they were a dreadful team 2 years ago. Made a lot of changes last year. They made a few more this year. And the Diamondbacks, a very good hitting team. They're second in the National League in runs scored right now. Burns at second and 1 out. Pedro ahead 1-2 on Tracy. Struck him out. First strikeout for Pedro Martinez, his 81st of the year. That leads the National League.
And notice on the radar gun there, he dialed it up a notch. 91 miles an hour and got a little run to it. And you can see right here, 3/4 delivery, and look at the side spin. That makes it run away. Swung right through it. And this is really a fine shot right here. I like that shot. Good pitch.
So 2 away. Now Luis Gonzalez, with whom Pedro's had a lot of trouble in the past. Gonzalez 15 for 39, a .385 average against Pedro. And the changeup misses.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how Pedro pitches him with a base open. As we said, Gonzalez success off Pedro in the past. Very dangerous hitter.
He's been a big home run hitter in the past, but not this year. He's hit only 5. Pops it up, and Pedro should be through the inning. LaDuca has the best chance for it. And so Pedro works around a 1-out hit by Burns and a stolen base. Well, LaDuca doing the work himself for the final out. 27-year-old Brandon Webb on the mound for the Diamondbacks tonight. Here's the Chevy Offers Mets lineup that he will face. Jose Reyes 4 for 10 against Webb. Mets have a few guys who've had some success against him. And the first one hit on the ground, and we'll see a lot of that tonight. Webb gets a ground ball out. He averages 4.1 ground balls for every fly ball that he generates with his sinker.
Well, that's his 152nd ground ball out of the season so far, and that's a leader. As Gary said, you see the numbers. Bit surprising, the opposition hitting .261 against him. Hits are high, but there's no walks. That's the key.
And the other key is if you're a ground ball pitcher, you'll give up ground ball base hits, but he also gets a lot of ground ball double plays. And that has helped to keep him out of trouble all season. And that's why Webb leads the National League in earned run average at 2.18. Here's Loduca, who had a 13-game hitting streak stopped last night. He went 0 for 4, still hitting over 300 at 304.
Well, when you face a sinker ball pitcher like this, you've got to gauge how much his ball sinks. And you can see that sinking action there. It's not even close, a little low there. By the way, he's got a very nice number.
17.
Oh, absolutely.
Never a pitcher's number.
But here's the sinker out of the hand. See that side spin? That's not even close. Got on top of that probably too much. But from a hitter's point of view, when a guy's got a great sinker, you gauge it how much it sinks proportionately, and then you gauge it as far as elevation when it's going to be a ball or when it's going to be a strike. I'm sure he changes speeds with it, and we're going to keep a close eye on it. Changes speeds and has different sinkers. Ones he throws harder that doesn't sink as much, and then one he throws softer that gets more sink.
On 3-1, Loduca takes a strike, and it looks like, you know, that ball is dropping, and Loduca is trying to do exactly what you said, gauge where it starts and where it might finish.
Well, the approach on a sinker ball pitcher, and you'll hear it on the bench all the time, make him get it up.
On 3-2, Loduca fouls one off his leg. And you get a lot of that against this guy, too.
One of the best sinker ball pitchers I ever faced in my generation was Rick Russell with the Cubs, the Pirates. And the one year that he won 20 games, I forget which year it was a year that he was able to throw the hard sinker and a heavy ball also, like Brandon Webb, but also was able to take off just a little bit, and almost like a change sinker, but in between a change and a fastball. And that's why he was so effective that year.
Duca shaking it off after fouling that ball off his leg. Back in on 3-2. Chopped. Counsel at short. Throws out Loduca. So 2 batters, 2 ground balls, and Brandon Webb right in gear.
Well, the Arizona Ford defense sets up with Clark. Tony Clark, the former Met at first base tonight. He gets the start. Same cast of characters for Arizona. Connor Jackson getting the night off. It's a predominantly left-hand hitting lineup tonight against Pedro.
Here's Carlos Beltran with 2 out and nobody on. Takes ball 1. And Clark's in the lineup for 2 reasons. One, he's hit Pedro well, but also with a sinker ball pitcher on the mound, you've got to have your best defense on the field. And Clark's a better defensive first baseman than Connor Jackson.
That is a very good point right there, Gary. Now we'll watch him. Now it's a left-hand hitter up, and he's going to face his share of lefties tonight in this Met lineup. They basically, sinker ball pitchers are going to go to that sinker away, and your approach is not to try to pull. And look outside corner, look out for that sinker away. If he throws you in, spit on it, and then wait for that his bread and butter pitch and take it the other way. Easier said than done.
Beltran 2 for 7 in this series. Both have been doubles, and the Mets trying to be patient with him. Both Loduca and Beltran looking at some sinkers low out of the strike zone as Carlos Delgado waits on deck, trying to fight his way out of a slump.
Lefties are hitting 289 right now off Brandon Webb for the season with 4 home runs.
3-1 to Beltran. Ball 4. And the Mets have a 2-out base runner. That's only the 10th walk in 83 innings allowed by Brandon Webb. And Keith mentioned it earlier. 2 years ago, Brandon Webb led the National League in walks with 119. This year, he's got the best control of any pitcher in the league, just 1 walk per 9 innings. It's been a stunning turnaround in that department for Webb. So now Carlos Delgado in a 3 for 31 skid. One thing about Webb, he does not hold runners particularly well. And teams generally can run on him, and we'll see whether Beltran tries to swipe a base here. He's 7 for 8 this year.
Well, the Diamondbacks stole a base in the first inning, and it's going to be a tight ball game. It should be. Players are going to try to, everyday players are going to try to maybe force the issue and play more aggressively on the bases, try to steal a base here, take the extra base on a single.
See that stat there. No hits in the last 23 at bats with runners on base. That's how you craft back-to-back shutouts, which is what Webb has done. And he throws a breaking ball to Delgado to start him off.
And we forgot to tell you folks out there, he's got a pretty good curveball. And you just saw it right there. And that's another third pitch in his arsenal. He's got the changeup, the sinking change, the hard sinker, and a very good curve.
1-0 to Delgado. And he tries to tie him up inside, but he nicks the corner. It's 1-1.
Well, as I said, Gary, that's a good pitch to take. You're going to get 7 pitches in an at bat against Brandon Webb. You're probably going to get at least 4 sinking away. So you want to set up away.
Delgado got a base hit last night to left field, a double. The hits have been hard to come by for Carlos lately, and you see the Diamondbacks over shifting to the right with Orlando Hudson out in shallow right field. There goes Beltran. The throw by Estrada right on the money, and he got him. Great throw by Johnny Estrada. Guns down Beltran. 2-6 on the caught stealing to end the inning. Perfect throw by Estrada. We go to the second with no score. Mets games are available in high definition quality across various cable providers, including Time Warner Cable and IO Digital Cable Service from Cablevision. Get the Mets in HD. Tony Clark leads off, getting his first start of the series. Former Met, who had an extraordinary year last year for the Diamondbacks, and Pedro gets ahead of him 0-2. Last year, Tony Clark was signed to be a bench player for the Diamondbacks, wound up hitting 30 home runs in 349 at-bats. It's not gone as well this year, and he goes down looking as Pedro has his second strikeout.
Well, this is called looking for a breaking ball and getting caught with your pants down. And that's the one thing I said before as a hitter myself. That's when you're set up. When you see the delivery right there, sinker ball running away, knee high outside corner. When you're looking for a breaking ball with 2 strikes and get a called third strike on a fastball, you've been set up.
And Tony Clark's pants have a very long inseam.
Well, forgive my French.
Sean Green riding a 6-game hitting streak. He's 4th in the National League right now, hitting .333. And he pops this one up. Shallow in right center, and Beltran's there. 2 away. So 2 up and 2 quickly cast aside by Pedro in the second. And so far this one's shaping up about the way we expected early on. You've got Pedro, who specializes in the strikeout and the fly ball. Only 25% of his outs have come on the ground this year, and he hasn't had a ground ball yet. And then Brandon Webb, who gets 61% of his outs on the ground.
Well, you have 2 artists out there.
Working with a very different palette, you'd have to say.
Very good. You're sharp tonight.
Sitting next to
you,
that
great
does
lead
that
in.
for me.
Oh, the pregame too was a great lead on. I thought John Wayne was going to enter instead of Pedro with that lead in on the open. My goodness.
And Johnny Estrada swinging at that changeup that bounced. Estrada hitting at .312, the former Atlanta Brave. And he fouls one away, and Pedro ahead in the count as he's been right from the first batter of the game.
Well, Pedro's coming out throwing fastballs, and he's been hurt a little bit on the breaking ball.
Orlando Hudson on deck.
A lot of guys have been looking breaking ball on him, and he's one of the guys that quickly adjusts.
Ahead 1-2 on Estrada. Curveball, and he just fouls it away. Johnny Estrada had that horrible home plate collision with Darren Erstad last summer, and when he came back with the Braves, he wasn't the same player, and the Braves thought he may never be again. So they traded him away, but he's off to a rocketing start with the Diamondbacks. 2-2 to Estrada. Estrada leads the Diamondbacks in RBIs with 33. This is the 2nd highest scoring team in the National League. To right field, Millage is there. Off his glove. Estrada, a very slow runner, and he'll stop at first base. Well, Lasting's Millage blowing a routine line drive hit right at him.
Well, the Lord gave you 2 hands for one reason. Well, more than one reason. That's one of them. He just flat missed it. When you got 2 hands, he just took it for granted. It's a routine play. Use 2 hands. And Estrada right here thinks it's an out. It's a normal reaction. Would he have had 2 if he had been running down the line? I don't know. He doesn't, like Gary said, he's not a great runner.
Orlando Hudson, the batter. So the Mets made 2 errors last night, and now Millage, who handled a couple of chances without incident last night, commits an error. And Hudson takes a strike on the cutter, 1-1. Hudson hitting just .236, Gold Glove second baseman with the Blue Jays last year. Delta, Arizona, in the deal that sent Troy Gloss to Toronto. Pulls it toward the hole, base hit. Estrada will have to stop at second. Millage picks it up cleanly, and there are 2 men aboard with the pitcher coming up.
Well, the most important thing on that base hit right there is that it brings the pitcher up, Brandon Webb. And you see right here, playing behind the runner, just hitting the hole too much. Good hitting, gets Webb to the plate, but you got to be careful with Brandon Webb. He's got 7 RBIs this season.
Has only 5 hits, but as you say, 7 RBIs, hitting .161. You don't go 8-0 without doing a lot of things well. Webb fields his position well, and he can hit. Takes the curveball high. Webb among the leaders in RBIs among pitchers in the National League. In fact, he leads the pack. Levon would be a usual suspect, but he's not getting as many at bats as he's used to because he's not pitching very well.
He's getting hammered, isn't he? A lot of long ball in that big ballpark too in DC.
The longer you can stay in the game, the more at bats you get, the more RBI chances you get. Good cut by Webb, 1-1. Webb leads the league in innings pitched, among other things.
That's one of the things that Pedro does so well. He throws that fastball up, starts out letter high strike, and rises out of the strike zone.
Fastball hit hard. Valentin with a great diving stop. Side retired. Well, Valentin may not feel comfortable at second base, but Pedro sure feels comfortable with him now. What a great play by Valentin to get Pedro through the second inning. We stay scoreless. So here at Shea Stadium, we go to the bottom of the second inning. Everything in bloom, including the defense of Jose Valentin, who made a tremendous play to get Pedro out of trouble in the top of the inning. Lots of kids in the ballpark tonight.
Hey, kids, we see ya.
Tell you what, kids, you're never going to see a better pitching matchup than what you got here tonight.
And there's Lasting's Millage coming in. He knows he dropped that ball, and Pedro, being the veteran he is.
And did you notice when he tapped his chest what's not there?
That big old cumbersome cross he had on yesterday. My goodness.
I'm wondering whether he was encouraged to take that off or he did it of his own volition. Here's Carlos Delgado. And he fouls the first one off. I had a long talk with Cliff Floyd tonight, and one of the subjects that came up was Millage. And I talked a little bit about Lasting's reputation for being a bit of a showboat in the minor leagues, and Cliff said if he does any of that here, he'll have me to answer to.
And a few other people too.
And I think, as Delgado fouls it off, I think that is going to be a great benefit to Lastings in terms of being around this group, is that he's going to hear exactly what he needs to hear about what it takes to be a big league player.
I couldn't agree with you more. This is a group of professionals that go about their business the proper way, and it's always from a manager or a coach's point of view. You'd rather have your team do the policing on the bench, in the clubhouse, on the field, as opposed to having to have the manager do it or the coaches.
On 0-2, Delgado takes low.
Now, Millage evidently was hit 11 times this season, and whether he was hit intentionally, he did irritate a lot of the opposition with his flamboyance. So we'll just keep an eye out on it.
Hit in the air to deep right center. Green going back with Burns near the wall, and Burns,
he caught it.
Has it.
Wow.
Wasn't sure because he didn't flash it at first, but Burns went right to the top of the fence and reeled this ball in. The glove hit the wall, and then he had the ball.
Well, the Mets have had their fill of great catches by center fielders this season. And this is another one. That is possibly a triple. It wouldn't have been a home run, but certainly a leadoff double. And Byrne here, he's a blue-collar guy. That's a fine catch.
That's the last thing Delgado needs right now, slumping as he is. 1-0 to David Wright. David just 1 for 8 in this series. The one was the walk-off hit on Monday night. 10th in the league right now at .325. 2-0. Getting back to what you were talking about before about Milledge having been hit by 11 pitches in the minors. That was the other thing that Cliff said. He said, as long as he understands that if he does things that irritate other people, he's going to have to pay for it. But that he needs to learn that there is payback involved if you're going to irritate the opposition.
Well, it also gets other teams to hate.
To shortstop. And Counsell with the overhand throw gets right 2 away.
And hate's too strong a word. Despise. And it not only would it despise the player that's flamboyant or cocky or popping off, the team. So you have these teams that are second division teams, as you watch Cliff step up to the plate, that come in and get up to play you. And how much like the '86 Mets, Wally Backman's the first one that comes to mind for me. Wally was always popping off in the paper. He always had a quote, and that was just Wally.
Cliff all of a sudden red hot, takes a strike.
I mean, Wally would say things going into a series, will go into the Reds, and he's got a 4-game series. And Wally said in the paper, I woke up in the morning the first day in Cincinnati before I played the game. Well, we're gonna sweep them. Well, Wally, what do you zip it?
0-2 to Floyd.
Zip it, Wally.
But it worked for him.
And guess what? We swept.
That's exactly right.
Well, see the rotation. The bottom just drops off. Roger McDowell had a sinker like this.
On 0-2, Floyd takes one in the dirt. Cliff 4 for 7 in this series with 2 doubles and a home run, and you see what he's done the last week and a half. And Webb just misses inside. Webb was walking off the mound toward the dugout.
Well, there's his pitch inside. He throws it rarely to left-handers. The catcher set up in. He has to start it out as let me tell you, he had every right to kind of walk off that mound. That was strike 3.
On 2-2, Floyd loops one to center, and Burns is there. And Burns had a big impact on that inning. Carlos Delgado led off by hitting one to the fence, and Burns caught it right at the top of the wall to help Webb get the Mets out 1-2-3. Third inning with no score. Craig Counsell leads off against Pedro Martinez and takes a strike. During this half inning, we'll be joined from the Mets bullpen by Mets bullpen coach Guy Conti. Guy, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How about you guys?
We're doing great. It's always fun watching a pitching matchup like this, and I know that it always gives you a very special feeling to watch Pedro on the mound.
Well, he's a master out there. He knows what he's doing. He has a good idea, and he works very quick, which helps his ball club, and he throws a lot of strikes and gets after the hitters.
Are you charting right now number of pitches? Guy, I see you writing them down.
Yeah, I sequence what they do and try to keep up with how they pitch each hitter, so we go over them afterwards and see how he approached each hitter.
Guy, you've had a very special relationship with Pedro going back a long way. How old was Pedro when you first met him?
16. I saw him when he was 16 years old in the Dominican Republic and at the academy there for the Dodgers.
And what was he like at 16? Did you know that he was going to be Pedro Martinez?
Well, I never envisioned he would be this good. A Cy Young Award winner. He was small, very small, 152 pounds. Wasn't built the way he is now. But you could see the arm strength he always had at a young age. He wasn't very similar to Ramon. Ramon was 6'4", a big, tall kid, and Pedro was very, very small at the time I saw him.
Guy, you're down there when starting pitchers are warming up, and I always notice you're around the mound. You're watching their stuff. I'm just curious. You can tell whether they have it or not, or one way or the other?
Well, on some pitches you can, Gary. You know, you look at them, and some nights they have better stuff than other stuff. When Pedro warmed up tonight, he was very erratic, and I told Tom Niente when I come out of the bullpen, I said he was erratic warming up. Come out through 11 out of 12 strikes to start the ball game. So you never know, you know.
You know, people think about the bullpen as being the place to go, you know, when things don't go well in a ball game, but bullpens have become so incredibly important in this game over the last number of years. How do you keep things in rhythm down there? In other words, when you've got guys getting up and getting down, how do you manage the bullpen out there over the course of a game?
Well, we have a good team down here. We have Tom Niente, who's a catching instructor, and he answers the telephones from the dugout to the bullpen and instructs the pitchers. I zero in on the pitchers, making sure they're ready and prepared and through their routine before we call back down to Rick to say and really say they're ready to go. Our bullpen catcher is John Walsh, who replaced Dave Racanella, who was injured, as you know. And if we have to get 2 up, Tommy will get the shin guards on, and he'll go down and catch the second pitcher. So we have a good team down here, and we work together, and it's working very well for us this season.
3-2 to Eric Burns. It's got to be an interesting atmosphere out there. Is it a loose group that you've got out there? Do you guys have time to kid around, or is everybody just kind of watching the game?
Well, they're pretty much zeroed in on their roles that they have out here. They pretty much know as the game progresses what's going to happen, when they're going to get in, when they got to get up. And you'll see them start really moving around about the 5th inning, where they start stretching out, loosening up, getting themselves prepared for later in the ball game. They watch the pitch counts, they watch how the pitcher got there, and they're studying every hitter as they come up to the plate.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Pedro to start the 3rd inning.
Do you have a pretty diligent bunch down there? I know a lot of teams I played with, you had to have a real drill sergeant down there in the bullpen, because a lot of the relievers would wander around, go in the clubhouse, sometimes got caught when the manager would want them to warm up, and they'd be in the clubhouse. I'm sure you don't have that problem down there.
No, Keith, that's never going to happen to us. Tommy and myself and John are right on top of it, and our guys are very experienced guys, and they know what they're doing. They know their role, they know the seriousness of what they're doing and how it impacts the ball game. So we're very conscientious down here, and hopefully we will be that way all year.
I know you guys are very conscious of who's thrown what day, who's gotten up, who's gotten down, who's thrown how many pitches. When the call goes out there, is everybody always ready, or are there days when guys get up to throw and just find they can't go that day?
Well, I carry a sheet with me that has the last 5 days, so we can tell, and I give one to Jerry Manuel and to Willie every day, and they have it down in the dugout, so they can tell exactly who threw how many pitches on what day for the last 5 days. So we're programmed that way, and then we're accountable to what we're doing down here. Very seldom are we surprised of who they call or who they ask for, because they're looking at the same sheets that I have.
Okay, real quick, who needs the least amount of pitches to warm up?
Well, Billy Wagner's, his routine's 12, okay? He takes 12, and he's pretty much ready to go. Keith Bell can be ready to 15. Most of them between 15 and 25.
All right, Guy, thanks very much for joining us. It's been an education. Thanks.
All right, thanks, guys, and keep up the good job.
We go to the bottom of the 3rd with no score. We go to the bottom of the 3rd, and Jose Valentin will lead off against Brandon Webb, who is not yet allowed to hit tonight. And Valentin thinks about a bunt, takes a curveball.
And how about that? Leads off Jose Valentin with a very slow curve on the outside corner. Excellent pitch.
Valentin trying to take hold of the second base job, and Webb gets ahead of him 0-2.
So what do you think the book on Jose Valentin is? If you got a guy with a hard sinker, a ball that's hard to lift, you got a very dangerous power hitter up right now who hits the long ball. Everybody else has been getting predominantly fastballs. He gets 2 curves to lead him off.
And then a sinker out of the strike zone. Well, Valentin's been a hot hitter, and that's why he's making his 4th straight start at second base, because he's been hitting. And he has another base hit. That's a great job by Valentin after falling behind in the count. And the Mets have their first hit of the game.
Now, this is precisely the approach against a sinker baller that I've been talking about the first 2 innings. This is a good pitch. Look at this. Look at that pitch. It's a ball. Now watch Valentin, shoulder in, hits the ball right up at the plate. Look at that eye on the ball. That is beautiful.
Valentin now 5 for 9 in this series, and here's Lasting's Millage. Millage went 1 for 4 in his major league debut last night after hitting .291 at Norfolk. Brought up with Xavier Nady having to undergo an appendectomy 2 nights ago. 1-1 to Millage. Lasting's just 21 years old. His mom and dad are in the ballpark tonight. Flew up from Florida. His dad, a retired Florida highway patrolman. Mets are well represented in the law enforcement category. David Wright's dad is a police detective in Virginia. Lasting's his dad, a retired highway patrolman. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, this you'll see right here. Look at the concentration. 3/4 delivery. Look at the pinky on his finger. Maybe at some point we can come back with a slow-mo on that, super slow. Look, his pinky was stiff
and
on
Webb,
that throw.
Webb strikes him out on the sinker. First strikeout for Webb.
Well, it's just the sinker, and it bores in, and look at the sink. It's a very difficult pitch to hit. Now watch it out of his hand.
You don't see pitches like that in Norfolk.
That's just a lot of movement.
That's a welcome to the big leagues kind of at bat right there.
Well, an obvious bunt situation here with Pedro.
And he fouls off the first one. Pedro has 3 sacrifices this year and a couple of hits. Now the most advanced traffic information is just a click away with WB11.com's Commuter Cast. Get real-time traffic updates on your computer every weekday afternoon at 4. Log on to WB11.com for Commuter Cast. And Pedro again fouls off the bunt.
Pedro is just not getting the bat out in front enough. He's got it too close to his body. You want to get that bat, you square around, and you have the bat out in front of you. He's got it too far back.
Can you use the movement of a sinker to help you get the bunt down?
Well, the easiest thing to bunt is a straight pitch, and the more difficult is the pitches that move.
Gets this one down. And Webb will go to first. So, 3rd time the charm for Pedro. 1-4 on the sacrifice, moving Valentin to second. So the Mets have a runner in scoring position for the first time tonight.
The shortstop.
Well, it's another sinker. And Pedro gets it down, deadens it enough. And that ball is sunk and got under his bat. So that helped him.
So Pedro advances the runner, and now Reyes will try and get him in. Reyes has 27 RBIs this year out of the leadoff spot.
Hitting .281 with runners in scoring position.
Last night that was a black hole for the Mets. Runners in scoring position, they went 0 for 15.
Oh, you know, this club has been scoring runs. It's a good hitting ball club. Sometimes a pitcher's just better. And Miguel Batista certainly was last night.
Last night, the 0 for 15 was of historic proportions. It tied the most hitless at bats with runners in scoring position the Mets had ever had in a game against one pitcher. They went 0 for 15 against Bob Veal of the Pirates back in '68.
Bob Veal, left-hand pitcher.
And now Webb ahead on Reyes, 1-2.
Well, Reyes takes a strike and then goes fishing, and that he takes a little more. Look at this thing drop, and he's taking something off of it. This is changeup. Terrific movement.
So Webb ahead on Reyes, 1-2, with Valentin at second and 2 out. On the inside corner, strike 3 called. Second strikeout for Webb, so the Mets get a leadoff base hit, can't get him around. We go to the 4th, still no score. Well, it's been as advertised so far. We go to the 4th inning. Pedro Martinez and Brandon Webb hooked up in a scoreless duel. Luis Gonzalez leads off. Popped up to LaDuca his first trip and takes a strike. Gonzo's now gone 124 at bats without a home run. Second longest streak of his career. But the longest since he became a big home run hitter with the Diamondbacks. Remember, he started out his career with the Astros and went to the Cubs and the Tigers before he landed in Arizona.
Well, he started out in the Astros with the Dome, too. The Dome was still there, and that was the biggest park in baseball.
But he didn't hit home runs at Wrigley Field either when he played there. Two and two to Gonzalez. But then he had that enormous year in 2001 when he hit 57 home runs and had the winning hit in Game 7 of the World Series. Lifts one behind third. Right with a long run to make, and he won't get to it. Talk about making a young kid happy. Look at that smile. That's a memory that kid will have the rest of his life. That David Wright handed him a baseball.
Automatic instant fan right there.
If he wasn't already.
Correct.
Now he's fan for life. Still 2 and 2 to Gonzalez. Gonzo now 38 years old. And Gonzalez extending the at bat.
Interesting enough, got Gonzo out the first at bat on 2 pitches, let him off with a fastball away for a strike, threw him a cutter on his hands up and in. This at bat, which is multiple pitches, around 5 or 6, have all been away.
See if he comes inside here. Edra shaking off LaDuca several times. Looking to come in this time, and he pops it up. Right near the dugout, and he runs out of room again. So Gonzo hitting him just beyond Wright's reach. As we check out the Aflac trivia question for it tonight. Before Valentin, who was the last Mets second baseman to hit home runs in consecutive games? That's a great question. Valentin homered each of the last 2 nights. The last Mets second baseman.
Fonzie?
Could be. To left center field. Floyd and Beltran converging. And Cliff takes charge. 1 away. Well, while you think about the Aflac trivia question, let's check in with Chris Cotter. Chris?
All right, thanks, Gary. I'm here with Lasting's parents, Linda Tony and his brother Tony Jr. as well. Had to be an emotional day for you yesterday, wasn't it?
Yes, it was very emotional yesterday.
Had to go to his mother for that one. The emotion's probably riding high. Tony, when you think about it, you couldn't make it here yesterday. Did that take away from it at all, in the fact that you weren't able to be here in person?
No, not really, because we was watching it on direct TV. So, I mean, it was just like we was here. We told him, you know, we couldn't get out in time enough to get here to watch him. So he just told us to sit tight and come today. So here we are.
That was my understanding that when he first told you, you thought he might have been pulling your leg?
Yeah, we always playing jokes like that, you know, and he came back and said, Dad, I'm serious. So I knew from that point that he was telling the truth. So then that's when we started making arrangements to try to come up here. So
now it took him a while to get out of the airport originally and to get here, and I understand he was there by himself. Was he on the phone with you while he was waiting?
Well, he was on the phone with his dad the whole time because I was at work. I got the call at work, and I was like, okay.
There's a great catch by Lastings in right field.
Yeah, he called me about 100 times saying that he don't think he was going to get there. So he finally got there like an hour ahead of game time, so everything turned out all right.
Now, did you cringe a little bit here early in the game? Obviously, you made a fantastic catch there, but maybe a little butterflies?
Yes. When he settled down, he'll be all right. He'll be all right.
You had to obviously have a feeling that he was going to play with the Mets at some point in time this year. Did you think it was going to come this soon?
Maybe a month earlier. You know, there's no question. When he gets settled in, he'll be all right.
He's always been a very confident young man. I think that a lot of people recognize that in him. Has that always been a trait of his going back to when he was a kid?
Yes, all the way. It's, you know, like I say, you know, you got to make the adjustments. Once he make the adjustments, then everything will be fine.
Linda, what do you think about your son making it to the Mets?
Well, I tell you, I'm so proud of him. I'm still thrilled, you know. It's like I'm in another zone. You know, I'm real happy for him because he worked real hard, you know, and he's just, he deserves it, you know. He deserves a chance to be up here. And we're real happy for him.
Linda, Tony, and Tony as well, thank you very much for your time.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
All right, Gary.
All right, Chris, and Tony Jr. and Lasting's other brother Anthony all played professional baseball. None of the three of them, though, got beyond Class A, so Lastings is really living out a dream for the entire Millage clan. Meanwhile, Pedro's retired the first two here in the fourth. One of them on a nice catch by Millage. 2-2 to Sean Green. And that one's hit to right, and Millage right there picks off the line drive side, retired, and he caught that one with two hands. 7 in a row retired by Pedro. Millage learning lessons already. Have you logged on to WB11.com lately? It's the place for weather info, a planning forecast that won't leave you all wet, allergy alerts, and Mr. G's 5-day forecast. You'll find it 24/7 at WB11.com. We go to the bottom of the fourth. Paul Lo Duca leads off against Brandon Webb and takes a strike. Mets are looking to take some pitches against Webb. Webb coming into this game was averaging 13.3 pitches per inning, the fewest of any pitcher in the major leagues this year. And Lo Duca barely got out of the way of that. 1-1.
Well, the approach on a guy like this, and he's going to be doubly tough with that hard sinker on right-handers, but a left-handed approach, as I said, would be looking for that sinker away. The fact that he's gotten only 9 walks, he throws strikes. So be aggressive. Just make him get it up.
2-1 to Lo Duca. Paul worked a 7-pitch at bat his first time up before grounding out. Up the middle. Stopped by Hudson, but the throw too late, and Lo Duca has an infield hit. Orlando Hudson, Gold Glove second baseman, did everything he could, but Lo Duca used the wheels.
Well, just a fine play out there in the outfield, but no chance to throw anybody out, really, but just a fine effort.
So the Mets have a leadoff hit against Webb for the second straight inning. You never knew that Lo Duca could pick him up and put him down like that.
He's not going to get too many of those.
So here's Beltran. Let's see what the Mets do here. Would you think about playing hit and run in this spot?
Well, you've got, I would with my left-hand hitters, particularly with Beltran, because he's got such good back control. And you've got a pitcher out there, most importantly, that throws strikes.
1-1 to Beltran. Carlos walked, but then was caught stealing to end the first inning with Delgado on deck. Each team now with 2 hits. Get the feeling 1 run is going to be awfully crucial in this game. Chop. Hudson gets the play at second, but no chance at first as Lo Duca did a great job taking out Counsell, and Lo Duca got the worst of it.
Well, he's going to be okay. I think he might have got a knee or something. We'll look at it right here. This is very clean. Oh, he just got a little bit of a, I don't know what it was.
Kicked in the head.
I think he got kicked in the head a little bit. That's good, clean baseball. And Counsell had
there it is.
Yes, got kneed. So Counsell had it as a result of that hustle by Lo Duca, and he's hurting a little bit. Can't hurt that head.
Well, it certainly forced Counsell's throw to be an awkward one, and he almost threw it away.
And he couldn't get anything on it. Now Counsell, we've said earlier, hasn't got a great arm. No, period. So when someone takes him out like that and he can't get anything on it, he certainly didn't get enough to get the speedy Beltran.
Beltran tried to steal his last time. Let's see if he tries again. Slowly hit ground ball. The shortstop Counsell has to field it with the shift on, and he throws out Delgado. So 2 away. Beltran advances to second.
Third baseman,
So Webb continues to get the ground balls. That's 6 of them already. And here's Wright, who bounced out to short his first time up. That was 23 at-bats coming into the game. Now the last 27 at-bats. Webb has not given up a hit with runners on base.
Well, that's usually what happens when you've got a record 21 scoreless going for you. He has come off 2 shutout complete games, his last 2 starts, and he's got 3 2/3 so far. So he certainly is getting people out with men on base.
On 1-0, Wright takes it wide. By the way, if you're wondering, it's been 8 years since a pitcher pitched 3 consecutive complete game shutouts. Got to go back to 1998 when a Blue Jay named Roger Clemens had 3 straight shutouts. Clemens now is again an Astro. He signed his contract last night and is projected to make his first big league start for the Astros on June 22nd. And they'll pay him almost $13 million for a little over half a season. What a world. Chop toward the middle. Counsell runs it down. Off balance throw, and he got him. Nice play by Counsell, who had himself a big inning behind Brandon Webb. We go to the 5th. Still no score. Fifth inning, Johnny Estrada leads off against Pedro Martinez, who has struck out 4 and walked none, allowing just 2 hits over the first 4 innings. Estrada lined one to right that was dropped by Lasting's Millage his first time. Estrada hitting 7th in the order. Two 2-0 to Estrada. Pedro in his last start against the Marlins struck out 10 and didn't walk a batter. It was the 18th time in his career he had struck out at least 10 and not walked anybody. As Estrada lifts one to left, a long run for Floyd, and Cliff runs it down. Tremendous play by Cliff Floyd. He had to go 1.5 acres to get it. 1 away.
Well, this is all about the ground covered here, and we've seen enough of Cliff to know that he is not afraid of the wall. He's not close there, and there's a lot of padding, but that was the. Once he got there, the catch is fine, but he ran a long way and covered a lot of ground.
No 1 out and nobody on. Here's Orlando Hudson. Hudson has one of the 2 hits off Pedro. A ground single to right. So Pedro's had 18 games in which he struck out at least 10 and walked none. But last start against the Marlins was only the 2nd time he had lost one of those games. Generally, you strike out 10 or more and don't walk anybody, you're having yourself a winning night.
Or it's a big hang with them, and Pedro's had his share of hang with them.
Of course, Pedro said that he was a winner last Friday night. Remember that post-game quote? He said, "I didn't lose.
I kept my club in a position to win," and that's true.
1-2 to Hudson. It's been a frustrating time for Pedro because, well, he's got 5 straight starts without a win. The last 4 the team has lost. Misses to Hudson, 2-2. And Willie Randolph was asked about that tonight and said, is it getting frustrating for Pedro? And he said, frustrating, sure, but he's still the jolliest guy on the team. And he gets the backdoor cutter over to Hudson, and that's 5 strikeouts for Pedro. Pedro tonight has been right on top of his game. 5 strikeouts through the first 4 2/3. Now takes on Brandon Webb, who was robbed of a base hit his first time up. The defensive play of the night belonging to Jose Valentin, who might have saved a run with his diving stop behind the bag at second.
Well, we'll see how this game turns out, but the way both pitchers are throwing, it may be a game-saving play. 1 run's probably going to win this ball game the way it's going.
only caveat on that play in terms of saving a run was that Estrada was running from second base. Still 0-2.
Was that Superman in the building?
I believe he is. And, well, there he is, too.
Oh.
Superman. And Superman. Curveball struck him out. 6 strikeouts for Pedro Martinez. And Pedro's now retired 10 Diamondbacks in a row. We're halfway through it, Shea, a great pitcher's duel. No scores.
This Baseball Night in New York update brought to you by Chevrolet. We have the Braves and the Dodgers, and Andrew Jones with a 2-run home run off Brett Tomko, his 13th on the year. The Braves up 2-0 in the 3rd inning. Nationals and Phillies this afternoon in Philadelphia. Alfonso Soriano, number 19 on the year. The Nats beat the Phils 3-2. Gary.
All right, Matt, and that means the Phillies and Braves are now tied for second place in the National League East, 4.5 games behind the Mets. See that the Braves yesterday called up Tyler Yates, who was in the Mets rotation a couple of years ago, hurt his arm, eventually wound up with the Orioles this spring. They let him go. He went to Richmond with the Braves and was called up yesterday and pitched in relief for Atlanta. Here's Cliff Floyd leading off the home 5th inning. And he takes a curveball for a strike from Brandon Webb. Cliff flied to center his first time up. And Webb with another breaking ball gets ahead of him 0-2.
Well, here we are, the second time through the order here, and he's now changing things. Look at the tumbling action, the spin, over the top spin. That's his curveball. He's changing the program here, mixing it up.
And he knocks Cliff down.
Well, not that close. Cliff was diving. This is fair game. Fair game.
I told you that earlier today I had a long conversation with Cliff, and he told me something very interesting. He said he hits best when he's angry. He was talking about a few instances where that was the case. Remember, he got drilled by Roy Oswalt a few years ago and came back and hit a grand slam. Well, we'll see if he's angry now.
Well, it brings up the competitive spirit.
And he bloops one, and the third baseman Tracy has it for the first out. But could you hit angry? I mean, is that a motivator for most guys?
It's a controlled anger, and it's more one of when they used to throw at you more, pitchers used to find out who they could throw at and who they couldn't. There's some guys didn't like to get thrown at, and they'd be stepping in the bucket, and they're big outs the rest of the game. They find out real quick who the ones they couldn't. And really, you just bear down more. It's like, okay, guy, you want to knock me down? I'm going to get you. But it's a very controlled, and I can't, maybe anger. It is anger because you're fired up. You're playing a game. You're competing.
Valentine has one of the Mets' 2 hits. Well, here's how Cliff said. He said, I'll know that I'm going well when I start hitting with runners in scoring position. And he said, the worst feeling in the world is when you come up in an RBI situation and you don't get it done. And you come back to the bench and you're angry. And he said, if I could take that same anger I feel after not getting the job done to the plate with me in the first place, I'd get a hit every time.
But it's a different kind of anger when someone knocks you down. You've failed to drive in a run and you're mad at yourself.
See, I told Cliff he just needs anger management. In other words, he needs somebody to come into the dugout and get him angry before every at bat. Valentine slaps one to third, and Tracy makes the play 2 away. So 2 out and nobody on. We look at the Hyundai in-game box score. Not much going on either side. LaDuca and Valentine each have a hit. Beltran's drawn the only walk from Brandon Webb, and the Mets 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position tonight after going 0 for 15 last night. Here's Lastings Millage, who struck out his first trip, and Webb gets one over.
And you can see right there when Webb goes away to right-hand hitters, he still gets that sinking action. Not every sinker ball pitcher can do that.
1-1 to Millage.
He's mad at himself right there because he got that pitch up. He didn't get his hands up enough. He came down with his arm, flattened out his sinker. Oh, good curve.
And he gets ahead on Millage, 1-2.
This is his best breaking ball tonight. This is a sharp breaking ball. 74. Look at the break, though. Doesn't look like 74. That had some sharpness.
And he strikes out Millage with the sinker. So he's overmatched the rookie so far. Third strikeout for Webb. And the Mets are down 1-2-3. No score after 5. Don't miss the big series at Shea when the Mets take on Barry Bonds and the Giants at 7 p.m. Friday and 1 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. It's the year you've been waiting for, so what are you waiting for? For tickets, get to Mets.com now. Pedro Martinez takes on the top of the Arizona batting order in the 6th inning. He's retired the last 10 in a row. And Craig Counsell takes ball 1. Pedro gave up a first inning single to Eric Burns, a second inning single to Orlando Hudson, and nothing since. Counsell waits on it and lines a base hit to right center. And so Counsell has the 3rd Arizona hit, and the first time tonight the Diamondbacks have the leadoff man on.
Well, this is a guy you got to keep off the bases. You see the pitch is up and out over the plate, and this is one of the few mistakes Pedro's made. Fastball, and Counsell rips it, and we'll see how Bob Melvin, the manager for Arizona, plays this.
And this is a tough call for Melvin because Burns has been a red-hot hitter, so you don't necessarily want to bunt with him. As a base hit tonight, a 14-game hitting streak, and 3 home runs in this series.
Counsell with 6 stolen bases on the year, caught 4 times.
And Burns drives one to deep left center field. Beltran back. Runs it down. And Counsell hustles back to first. Eric Burns making a bid for his 4th home run in this series. And Beltran went a long way to get it. 1 out.
Well, in Shea Stadium, you need a center fielder to cover ground, and Beltran has such a great, easy gait and can cover it. He plays deep, as we know, but still he ran a long way. Now, this is the proper play right here, base running wise. Other side of second base. He scores, and that ball's off the wall. And that's plenty of time to get back.
Just make sure you touch second base on your way back.
Exactly. And there's Burns, of course, we know is very emotional.
He is edgy. Here's Chad Tracy with 1 out and 1 on. And he hits it hard. Counsell to second, takes a turn, he heads for 3rd. Millage with the throw. It's on target, and he got him at 3rd. Lastings Millage on the fly to David Wright, 2-man down. Well, you call him a 5-tool player? There's one of your tools.
Well, he charges the ball beautifully and comes up throwing overthrows the cutoff man, but throw right on the money and with some pop on it. And he is out.
Craig Counsell, meet Lastings Millage.
But a good gamble by Counsell. Nice play.
Well, you have to challenge the rookie and see what he's got. Here's Gonzalez, and Counsell just found out. Gonzalez 0 for 2. He's popped up to the catcher and flied out to left, and didn't that put a buzz into this crowd?
Well, they're getting a look at what this man can do.
And that curveball, if it missed, I'm not sure where, 1-1.
But a good gamble by Counsell in a close game like that. It took a perfect throw to get him, and Millage delivered.
1-1 to Gonzalez. Popped it up. Floyd is there. Side retired. 3 balls hit hard, but Lastings Millage saves the day for Pedro with a BB. First career outfield assist. It keeps the game scoreless.
The pitcher, Pedro Martinez.
Hey, Mets fans, always traveling and missing games. Watch Mets games live online whenever you're away from New York, exclusively from MLB.tv. Mets.com has more live games than anyone else. Mets.com, where baseball is always on. Home 6th inning, scoreless game. Pedro Martinez leads off, and Brandon Webb deals a strike. Pedro sacrificed his first time up. Mets have had only 2 hits. Diamondbacks have had 4. And this pitcher's duel has been as advertised. 0-2 to Pedro.
Well, Webb working on now 23 consecutive scoreless innings, and that surpassed the lead. It was Duaner Sanchez had 21, started the season with 21 scoreless.
And he has his 4th strikeout as Pedro goes down. So Webb now with the longest scoreless streak in the majors this year. Time for the Mets home run inning, presented by Amtrak Acela Express. If a Met hits a home run, one grand prize winner will win a trip anywhere in the Northeast with Amtrak Acela Express. To enter or see if you're a contestant, visit sny.tv/Amtrak today. Reyes has been chasing that sinker all night. He's 0 for 2, and he bounces this one to Hudson, who was playing very shallow. Have to back off to grab that. 2 away. Hudson was playing about as shallow as any second baseman would in a bases empty situation against Reyes.
Well, you would do it off a guy like Reyes who can bunt. You may try to push it, and you see Tony Clark at first base playing in. Nice backup for the long hop, quick release. Nice play.
Hudson's got terrific range. Won his first Gold Glove with Toronto last year. So Webb has retired 8 in a row since Paul LaDuca's infield hit that led off the 4th. The only other hit, Jose Valentin's single through the hole at short in the 3rd. 1-0 to LaDuca. Paul has been battered tonight. He fouled one off his leg in his first at bat, and then a takeout slide in the 4th. He got kicked in the head by Counsell. 1-1 to Paul, and the way he's been rolling his neck, you get the idea that that's going to be pretty sore when he wakes up tomorrow morning. And he takes the curveball for a strike. 1-2. Mets have an off day tomorrow before welcoming in the Giants Friday night.
Well, here's the curveball here. Snaps it. Look at the tumbling rotation. That was a pitch to hit right there. It was down, but it had a lot of the middle. But
foul.
He throws so few curveballs and primarily pounds you with that sinker. And he just throws a curveball enough, it just catches you by surprise.
Brandon Webb, small town boy from Ashland, Kentucky, went to the University of Kentucky. And all of a sudden starting to get a lot of attention. On the outside corner, strike 3 called. 5 strikeouts for Webb. He's retired 9 in a row. We're through 6 at Shea. Mets and Diamondbacks still hooked in a scoreless duel.
Matt Yaloff here with a Chevrolet Baseball Night New York update. In Toronto, it's the Red Sox and the Blue Jays, and Coco Crisp knocking in Kevin Youkilis. Mike Lowell tries to score from second, but he's cut down. Red Sox up 5-2 in the 4th. Back to Gary at Shea.
Coco Crisp is fast. Mike Lowell is not. Big for the Red Sox having Crisp back in their lineup, though. Aflac trivia answer: prior to Valentin the last 2 nights, it was the last Mets second baseman to hit home runs in consecutive games, Jeff Keppinger, who remains Met property down on the farm. And it's call up 2 years ago and hit homers in back-to-back games. That's a great trivia question. There's Tony Clark, who's 0 for 2, getting a chance to play tonight after Connor Jackson started the first 2 games of the series. Tony, one of the most likable guys around. He was with the Mets 3 years ago and was just a pleasure. Past the mound. Valentin with time to get in front of it. Throws out the slow-footed Clark. 1 away. So 1 out and nobody on as we check our Jeep upcoming schedule through the haze at Shea. Weekend series with the Giants. Tom Glavine opens the series Friday night against Bonds and Company. And Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon, then it's off to the West Coast. 3 with the Dodgers, who've been playing extremely well. High-scoring team.
And you can see a little bit of haze here in the ballpark. It's a beautiful day in New York.
Just some mist rolling in off Flushing Bay. To short, grabbed by Reyes, 2 away. Well, there have been some hard hit balls against Pedro the last 2 innings, but the Mets defense has been up to it. You know, we talked at the outset about the pitching matchup tonight with Pedro, the strikeout artist, against Webb, the ground ball specialist, and it's gone that way.
Well, and what's amazing, we were looking at the clock right now. It's 8:38. We were talking in between innings. Here we are in the top of the 7th. This is how it used to be. You got a 0-0 ball game, you'd be out by 9:30. I mean, it would be that quick because they're throwing strikes and they're getting the outs.
This is playoff style baseball. Valentin can't get that one, and Estrada has his first hit of the night. Well, Estrada hit the line drive that Millage dropped in the second, then hit the long fly ball that Floyd ran down, but Valentin couldn't quite get this one.
Well, a nice effort, and he is not a second baseman by trade. That is the least, as you said, Gary. It's the one position in the infield he's least comfortable.
Well, it might take 3 hits to get Estrada home from first base as Orlando Hudson steps in. He has 1 hit tonight, and he fouls that one away. But there have been a few more pitches in hittable parts of the strike zone from Pedro these last couple of innings.
Well, this is a pretty good hitting lineup too now. And Sean Green had a very nice at bat. I just love this camera angle. It just makes you feel like you're the catcher.
So the pitch count for Pedro up to 91. The topper foul, and he's ahead on Hudson 0-2. There's Brandon Webb in the on-deck circle. Pedro would love to have him leading off the next inning. Pedro has struck out 6. He's walked none. Popped up. Valentin retreating. Side retired. Well, Pedro has contributed 7 shutout innings. Still no score as we stretch. Brandon Webb takes the mound for the bottom of the 7th inning, looking for his 3rd consecutive complete game shutout, and he has been as advertised tonight. 9 ground ball outs, 5 strikeouts. Pedro Martinez has been just as good over his 7 innings of work. He's given up 5 hits, hasn't walked a batter tonight. And Pedro and Webb have put on quite a show tonight here at Shea.
Well, both pitchers only 1 walk in the ball game.
Well, the Mets will present the heart of their batting order in the bottom of the 7th. Beltran has walked and hit into a force play 0 for 1.
Well, it's obviously a important at bat for both sides here.
Delgado on deck. Bounce foul. 1-1 to Beltran. There you see the breakdown on Webb's outs. 61% of his outs this season have come on ground balls, so he's actually a little behind that pace. And Beltran fouls one off his leg.
Well, he got 2 of those 3 fly ball outs back in the 2nd. Delgado and Floyd flew out to center, and there's a sinker. Like a change of pace. And that always hurts off the ankle, even with that shin guard on. I guess it snuck past it. And look at this.
Well, that mist continues to increase in thickness.
Well, it got cool here a little bit.
Well, the weather system is changing, no question about it. We've had fog nights here at Shea before, but this is not anything close to that. At least not yet. Tony Clark feeds to Webb, who barely beats Beltran to the bag. Beltran hustling, and Webb didn't get there all that quickly. A very close play for the first out.
Well, but Beltran out in front and hustling all the way. And gets him by. Ooh, that was close.
That's what you call a bang-bang play.
He got him. And nice hustle by Beltran.
Bruce Frumming, the first base umpire, senior umpire in the major leagues, right on top of the plate to make that call. Johnny Estrada out to the mound, perhaps saying to Webb, next time, get to the bag a little faster.
Get there just a tad quicker.
Well, here's Delgado, still fighting a slump, 3 for his last 33. Robbed of an extra base hit by Eric Burns at the top of the wall back in the second. It's interesting, as Floyd has gotten hot, Delgado has cooled off.
Well, that's what it takes to have a winning season.
It's a tough guy to break out of a slump against. 2-0.
Well, actually, you're right in a way, but it's Delgado's trying to work the other way. He's been out in front.
On 2-0, he lays off, and Webb behind 3-0.
Well, he's pitching Delgado very carefully, and Delgado has such a very good eye. Those pitches are not missing by much.
So is he swinging 3-0? Scoreless game.
I would give him a hit sign.
Pulls one down to first, and Clark handles it. 2 away. So Delgado swinging on 3-0, hoping to get that pitch he could hit out of the ballpark. Well, he said it very early in this game that the first run was going to be very meaningful. Well, you get the idea that the first run could be the last run, the way this game is going. David Wright's been up twice. Both times has grounded out to short. And the ground ball outs keep rolling up for Brandon Webb. He went 6-0 to start his year last year, 8-0 this year. Last year, Webb finished 14-12. You get the feeling that he's going to finish a whole lot better than that this year. He's a young pitcher right at the top of his game. Ball one to right. We're talking last inning about the fact that all of a sudden he's becoming better known, handling more interview requests.
That's what happens with success.
And Wright has a base hit, just the third of the game off Brandon Webb. Well, Webb had retired 11 in a row, and now Wright with a 2-out single.
Well, good hitting by David. This ball's up, out over the plate, outer half. Good hitting by David. Just like he was going that way all the way. Nice hitting.
So we'll see if Wright tries to swipe a bag in front of Floyd. Anyway, when a young player all of a sudden is besieged by interview requests, you find out all sorts of things. And one of the things we found out is that Brandon Webb, during his 8-0 start to the season, has prepared for every start by going to IHOP for pancakes and an omelet.
Oh, so we're a superstitious lot, aren't we?
Well, he was asked whether he's gotten an endorsement deal yet. He said, not yet.
No, the way they get paid today, you don't really need endorsements.
Although they do fill a niche for some athletes.
Yes.
I think Tiger breaks in a few dollars from endorsements. And Webb keeping a close eye on Wright. David has 8 steals in 9 tries this year. And again, we talked about it earlier. Webb not great at holding runners on. Johnny Estrada made a perfect throw to get Beltran trying to steal back in the first. One 1-0 to Floyd. Cliff is 0 for 2. He's flying to center and popped to third. Before he popped up in the 5th inning, he hit the dirt hard getting out of the way of an inside fastball.
You know, this kind of pitcher like Webb, you might be inclined to move up in front of the box more to catch that sinker quicker. By moving up in front of the box, I mean, I used to hit deep in the box. If I had a really good sinker ball pitcher, I would move up in front.
How far would you move?
Depended on the sinker ball, but I never felt comfortable doing it, so I always had a very short stroke when I did it. I was just looking to get a base hit. But that's part of the adjustments that you make during a game if someone has a
little dribbler. Webb lets it roll, and smartly so.
Oh, very, very smart play.
Once Floyd got by him, there was no way Webb was going to be able to throw him out.
Well,
And there's no way that Webb wanted to get into a collision with Cliff.
Oh, don't think Bob Melvin over there, the manager for Arizona, wanted to see that neither.
The mist continues to thicken up at the upper reaches of Shea Stadium. Scoreless game, bottom of the 7th, right at first and 2 out. 1-1 to Floyd. And he goes the other way, base hit. Right to second. He'll turn and head to third against Gonzalez's arm. And the Mets have runners at the corners with 2 down. Now it's the first time tonight that either team has had a runner as far as third base.
Well, this is just good hitting here. It's a sinker down away. Look, that's a good pitch. And that's the approach for a hitter. Look at Cliff. This is going to be the tight shot. You can see the sink. That's in a good spot. And even with a great arm out there in a game like this, David Wright did the proper thing, challenging it.
Well, here is Jose Valentin. Keep in mind that Webb over his career has thrown a lot of wild pitches. Starts Valentin off with a curveball. Last year he led the league with 14 wild pitches. The year before 17. He has only 1 this year. But with a sinker ball pitcher, it's certainly a concern with a runner at third. He gets ahead on Valentin 0-2.
Boy, let him off with a curveball, and that looked like a stiff. They came back with a fastball away.
Just missed. 1-2.
I like the way he pitches with men on base. Now we haven't seen too many times when the Mets have had a threat.
Floyd got a hit with a man on base. That's the first time in ages against Webb. There goes Cliff, and he steals the base without a throw. So now 2 are in scoring position. A 2-2 count to Valentin. 4th of the year for Floyd.
Okay, he's thrown 2 pitches inside, ahead in the count. Probably going to go away now.
This big crowd getting revved up now. Valentin has one of the Mets' 4 hits tonight. 2nd and 3rd, 2 out. 2-2 pitch. He fouls off the breaking ball.
Doesn't make a mistake with his curveball. Let me tell you, he's got command of his curve. And you watch him here out of the glove, watch the spin, the tumbling action again. The only adjective I can think of.
Valentin's a hot hitter right now. 5 for 10 in this series, including homers the last 2 games. Ball 3, and look at Estrada. He was hopping off toward the dugout.
Well, here it is. Want to come in with a fastball. And you know, that's a letter high strike.
Now it's 3-2. A walk would bring Millage to the plate with the bases loaded. Fouled away.
Good at bat for Valentin here. That was a good curveball, knee high outside corner. He's going to pitch him carefully because you've got the young rookie in the on deck circle and you got an open base.
Valentin's already seen 7 pitches in this turn at bat. The next pitch will be Webb's 100th of the night. He threw just 106 in going 9 innings against Cincinnati his last time out. 3-2 to Valentin. Popped up. Tracy takes charge. Side retired. So Webb gives up back-to-back 2-out hits. But he gets Valentin. And we're through 7 in this pitcher's duel with no score. We go to the 8th inning, and here's the best news the Mets have gotten all night. Brandon Webb is leaving for a pinch hitter. So Webb, with 25 straight scoreless innings under his belt, is done, and Jeff Devannon bats for him. You saw Luis Vizcaino up in the bullpen. So Webb will not get his third straight complete game shutout, even though he held the Mets without a run for 7 innings tonight.
I find that move hard to believe.
Devannon fouls it back. Well, he's thrown exactly 100 pitches. And it's a tough call for Bob Melvin, no question about that.
Well, I know all this 100-pitch count and stuff, and protect the pitcher's arms, their precious arms. There's something to be said about that, but I wouldn't, with that bullpen out there, I would not take my ace out of this ball game.
For a good part of the year, the Diamondbacks have pitched well out of the pen, but not lately. 2-1. They blew back-to-back save opportunities Sunday in Cincinnati and then Monday night here with their closer Jose Valverde. And Webb's only chance for a win now is if the Diamondbacks can get him a run against Pedro here in the 8th. Pedro, meanwhile, about to throw his 97th pitch of the night. 2-1 to Devannon, who walked as a pinch hitter in the game on Monday night against Aaron Heilman, and that set the stage for Chad Tracy's 3-run homer that put the Diamondbacks in front before the Mets rallied in the 9th. 2-2 to Devannon. In 2006, Hyundai, the Mets, and Sportsnet New York are teaming up to strike out cancer. For every K the Mets pitching staff registers, Hyundai, the Mets, and Sportsnet New York will donate $25 to the Hope and Heroes Children's Cancer Fund. Pedro now is 86 for the year to lead the National League. The Mets with 421 to lead the National League. 2-2 to Devannon. 3-2. Martinez has not walked a batter tonight. He didn't walk a batter in his last start against Florida on Friday. Scoreless game, 8th inning. Devannon, the former Angel, hitting at .272. 3-2 pitch. Floyd coming in, picks it off. Ball stayed up long enough for Floyd to make the play. 1 down. Let's check out the Toyota National League scoreboard. Phillies lost this afternoon to Livan Hernandez and the Nationals. Soriano with another home run, his 19th. Cardinals won in extra innings. San Diego beat Colorado. Pittsburgh leading Milwaukee tonight. Jason Bay with another home run, and Jose Castillo homering for a 5th straight game for Pittsburgh tonight. Giants lead the Marlins in the 6th, and the Braves up big on the Dodgers. Both the Joneses with home runs. Craig Counsell takes the cutter inside. Counsell 1 for 3. Singled in the 6th, was thrown out trying to go first to third by Lasting's Millage. 1-1.
Boy, fastball knee high outside corner.
Now this is probably Pedro's final inning. He's up over 100 pitches and due a turn at bat in the bottom of the 8th. Good changeup, 1-2.
There is the look at the sideways spin and the sink on the changeup.
Breaking ball. He went around, strike 3. 7 strikeouts for Pedro Martinez, 2 down.
Well, the old curveball here. Down and in. He couldn't hold the bat. I didn't think he swung.
A little harder curveball than he's been throwing tonight.
He's reaching back. He knows it's a tight game. He got his ace out of there. I'm going to run a goose egg up there. Got the bullpen coming in here. My team maybe get me a run here.
Here's Eric Burns fouling one back this way and right into the booth.
My goodness. Heads up there.
Here's the Coors Light cold blast from last night. Eric Burns hitting his 3rd home run in this series. That was the Coors Light cold blast, and he almost had another one tonight. Sending Beltran back on the track. Pedro finds the outside corner, and it's 0-2 to Burns.
Well, a good strike right there, knee high outside corner. This is one of Pedro's very efficient innings. Look at that, right to the glove.
Everybody up at Shea. 0-2 to Burns. Struck him out. Well, Brandon Webb turned in 7 shutout innings tonight, 25 in a row, but it's not enough to get him a win tonight. Luis Vizcaino takes over in the bottom of the 8th.
And you see 25 innings pitched, a very sparkling earned run average. A lot of walks in there, and you see Wagner up in case the Mets take the lead.
And maybe even if they don't.
And Pedro hoping this is not another game where he pitched brilliantly and his team didn't get him any runs.
Well, Pedro is done. Lastings Millage will lead off, and the Mets will then pinch hit for Pedro, who threw 106 pitches, struck out 8, allowed 5 hits in his 8 shutout innings. As the mist continues to gather here at Shea, and Lastings Millage leads off the bottom of the 8th. Struck out twice against Brandon Webb, now facing the veteran Luis Vizcaino. 31-year-old right-hander, 0-1.
Endy Chavez in the on-deck circle. Looks like to be the pinch hitter for Pedro.
Millage 1 for 6 to start his big league career. There's Endy. It could be asked to bunt if Millage gets on. Tracy backing up along the line at third. 0-2 to Millage. A little over anxious here.
Well, they're going to keep the ball away. Watch the front shoulder. He pulls off, has a tendency to pull off. He stands very far away from the plate.
There are his parents hidden behind somebody's head.
And they're just going to pound him away again.
To shortstop. Counsell makes the play. 1 away. So Millage retired, and with that happening, Chavez will go back into the dugout, and instead it'll be Julio Franco. So Chavez was up there if Millage got on, but with nobody on, the Mets will go to Franco instead. You may now be eligible for New York City's nicotine patch program. Limited supply. Call 311 now. Isn't it time you quit smoking? So Franco gets the call. Batting for Pedro Martinez. If the Mets don't score a run in this inning, it means the Mets will go without getting him a win in the month of May. Pedro is standing by with Chris Cotter.
Thanks, Gary. Pedro, 106 pitches tonight. How did you feel? And it got kind of cool out there tonight. Did that help you?
Yeah, in the first 2 innings, it felt a little bit chillier than I expected it, but it was fine. It was fine after that. I warmed up okay, and everything, the rhythm really seemed to be there. So
yeah, when you're going against a guy like Brandon Webb, it was really a quick game. Does that help you to get into that rhythm and to kind of make it quick and move along?
Well, that's my rhythm. I'm not thinking about him or how he handles his game. I'm just trying to do what I have to do and the way I do it. And I like to pitch quick. I like to get it done early, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Coming into a game like this, are you aware of who you're facing and what he has done up to this point in the season?
You know, it's not him who I'm worried about. I'm worried about the hitters, and I'm watching every one of them in between games, and just trying to make adjustments.
What adjustments did you make throughout the game, or did you have to make any? Just keep going along?
Well, I had to use my two-seamer a lot more, add and subtract velocity on it, and actually get ahead, because they're a very disciplined team and a scrappy team that will probably hurt you if you fall behind very often.
Okay, thanks, Pedro.
You're welcome.
Good, Gary.
All right, great job, Chris. Thanks very much.
You're my
1-0
hero.
to Franco.
You're my hero, Chris.
That probably is a first in the history
That's a tough interview.
of baseball on television, is Pedro Martinez doing an interview during the game after he's come out. That is extraordinary. Great job by Pedro and great job by Chris. Reyes waiting on deck. Franco hitting an even 300. Facing Luis Vizcaino.
Oh,
that's a strike. I was about to say 3-0.
I was almost
Paul
beat
Emmel.
you to it. He brought the glove back too. Watch the catcher. You see the slider. See that circle? That's the slider. Watch the catcher bring the glove back. That's a dead giveaway.
Paul Emmel, the home plate umpire, has had a pretty good zone tonight.
He's been a pitcher's umpire. He's been consistent.
2-1 to Franco. No score, bottom of the 8th. Line, base hit. Franco comes through as a pinch hitter. Just a shade too tall for Craig Counsell. And the Mets have the potential go-ahead run on base. Kaz Matsui will run for Franco.
Well, good hitting by Julio here Got ahead 2-0. Oh, that's a hanging slider. See the circle? Just didn't break. He stays right in on it. Good hitting. Love that camera angle behind the catcher.
So there's Matsui running for Franco, carrying the go-ahead run in this game. And again, the only chance for Pedro to win is if the Mets get a run in the 8th. Pedro has never had a month in his career in which he's made at least 5 starts and not gotten a win. This is his 6th start in May, and Mets would like to avoid making his personal history tonight.
Oh,
Reyes swings through the fastball, 0-1.
Right on the outer half and swung right through it. Third baseman Chad Tracy playing very much in, protecting for the bunt.
Oh, 1 to Reyes, who's 0 for 3. And he takes a strike, and Vizcaino ahead of him 0-2. Been a rough night at the plate for Reyes so far, when 0 for 3 against Webb with a strikeout and 2 groundouts. And now he finds himself in a quick hole against Luis Vizcaino, with Paulo Duca waiting on deck. The best cut he's had all night.
Well, Vizcaino's throwing hard, and that was a good up and in fastball. He wanted it away. The look came in. He's a hard thrower. Good cut by Reyes.
Trying to work himself out of an 0-2 hole here. Each team with 5 hits now. No score, bottom of the 8th. Both starters now out of the game. Matsui at first, and Reyes fouls back another one. He's starting to get his timing against Vizcaino.
Well, I'm kind of waiting for him to throw the breaking ball in the dirt here. He went up the ladder. You look at Franco there, who pinch hit singled in this inning.
Luis Vizcaino, who started his career in Oakland, spent 3 years in Milwaukee, and then last year was with the champion White Sox. Had a good year for Chicago. Came over in the same trade as El Duque from the White Sox to the Diamondbacks, sending Javier Vasquez to Chicago. El Duque will make his 2nd start as a Met on Saturday. 0-2 to Reyes.
Oh, that got the umpire right in the gut.
Paul Emmel took a direct hit.
Oh, man. You should do your sit-ups. Whoa, watch this. Oh, that doubled him up.
Right over Estrada's shoulder and into Emmel. And Bruce Fleming, the crew chief, and Mets trainer Ray Ramirez are going to come out and see if Emmel's okay.
That got him.
The Mets welcome Barry Bonds and the San Francisco Giants to Shea on Friday night. North Fork Bank pregame live begins at 6:30 p.m. Mets Giants. Barry Bonds continuing his ascent on the all-time home run list. Friday only on Sportsnet New York. Well, Emmel's okay. Reyes has fouled off 3 in a row after the count got to 0-2. And Vizcaino checks in on Matsui. Has Cold off the bench. He's a fast runner. Has only 2 steals on the year. Tony Clark towering over Matsui as he holds him on.
They're on their feet.
$37,735 on hand here at Shea tonight. And a lot of those folks walked up and bought tickets today with this scintillating pitching matchup, and it turned out to be everything you could have hoped for as Pedro and Webb matched zeros. Now in the bottom of the 8th, both starters out of the game. 1-2 to Reyes. Shea doing a nice job of working this at bat.
Well, he hasn't thrown a breaking ball, and I got to believe it's because of Matsui on first.
Sounds like a soccer crowd, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Well, the World Cup starts in a week.
There's your breaking ball.
1-2 to Reyes. Hit in the air to center field. Eric Burns right there. 2 out. Matsui back to first. So now with 2 away, we'll see whether Matsui can swipe a bag in front of Loduca.
Now's the time to do it. You're thrown out. You've got 2, 3, and 4 coming up next inning.
Well, Vizcaíno's got a slide step that he can use. We'll see whether he employs it here. Loduca 1 for 3, had an infield single back in the 4th. Loduca hits one to deep left center field. Gonzalez back with Burns, and Burns picks it off. Loduca made a bid, but Eric Burns ran it down. Burns near the wall again. And we go to the 9th. Still scoreless at Shea.
This Baseball Night New York update brought to you by Chevrolet. It's the Braves and the Dodgers, and Chipper Jones batting lefty, hitting it to left. The other way, a home run, part of a 5-run frame. Braves on top of the Dodgers 7-1. Yankees and Tigers wait out a long rain delay at the start of the game, and then Jorge Posada comes through, driving in the game's first run. It's 1-0 Yanks in the 3rd. Gary.
Billy Wagner comes on to pitch in the 9th inning. Billy's first outing since Saturday in Florida when he registered his 11th save of the year, brought in here in a scoreless game after Pedro Martinez went 8 brilliant innings to a no decision.
Well, the 6th straight game for Pedro to come out empty-handed. Boy, he's just been brilliant.
Pedro lowered his earned run average to 2.50, which is now 2nd in the league to Brandon Webb, who finished the night at 2.01. Chad Tracy leads off the 9th and takes ball 1. So a very different look for the Diamondback hitters now after facing Pedro for 8. Now the fireballing left-handed offerings of Billy Wagner. Tracy 1 for 3. And Wagner behind him 2-0.
Well, there's 2 left-handers coming up. The switch hitting Tony Clark, who is a much better left-hand hitter. Wonder the possibility of maybe a Connor Jackson pinch hitting for Tony Clark.
On 2-0, Tracy takes the fastball for a strike. 96 miles an hour from Wagner. Brandon Lyon up in the Arizona bullpen. For the moment. The other way, Floyd right there. 1 down. Cliff's been active tonight. Didn't have to move an inch for that line drive. 1 out. The Diamondbacks manager Bob Melvin has been saying the last couple of days that Jose Valverde may not be his closer for the moment after blowing back-to-back games Sunday and Monday, that they might use Brandon Lyon, that they might use Jorge Julio to close games.
Well, that's why they traded for him. They liked what they saw from Jorge Julio.
As Gonzalez is 0 for 3 and Wagner comes up and in.
And again, we know with Baltimore, Jorge was in that role. And there he is right there getting ready.
So if they get a lead, it might be Julio. Gonzalez takes a strike. Gonzo 0 for 3 tonight, has now gone 126 at bats without a home run. 1 for 6 in his career against Wagner, and that one was a home run. There you see Clark on deck. And Wagner comes in on his hands. 1-2. Coming up on Geico Sports Night, want to know what your favorite player's favorite movie is? Tune in and find out. Mike Messina takes the hill for the Yankees. Struck him out. Wagner fans Gonzalez, 2 men down.
Well, all set up by the fastball up and in, and you can see That Wagner throws the slider. There's the break. You can see the break. That's such a wonderful angle. And there's the cocking action there. And see the circle, the slider, and the break.
There's Tony Clark, and he bounces one to third. David Wright with a nice easy hop. Low throw, but handled by Delgado. Side retired. Delgado bails out right. Billy Wagner with a 1-2-3 top of the ninth. Mets will try and win it in their final turn at bat. Last of the ninth inning at Shea. The Mets have already staged 7 walk-off wins this season, including one in this series. And it would be awfully sweet for the Mets to pull off another one tonight.
Well, there you're looking at Brandon Lyon and his numbers. Doesn't walk a lot of people. That's good. Not a lot of big batting averages. Ironically, the right-handers having more success off him than the lefties.
Mets will have the heart of the batting order up. Carlos Beltran, Carlos Delgado, David Wright. Scoreless game, last of the ninth. Each team has had 5 hits. Both starters were brilliant, but now they're irrelevant. Brandon Lyon, who was originally drafted by the Mets out of high school, didn't sign. And he throws an off-speed pitch to Beltran, 1-0. Carlos has already ended a game with a home run this year in the 16th inning against the Phillies.
These are the kind of games the Mets have been playing.
Carlos Delgado has also ended a game with a home run in the 12th inning against the Pirates.
They've been winning these kind of games.
2-0 to Beltran. Strike call, 2-1. Brandon Lyon did some closing for the Diamondbacks last year, saved 14 games, but then lost that job. He had a miserable year. He's pitched much better this year in a setup role. And he misses to Beltran, and he's behind 3-1. Well, here's a spot where Beltran can really sit on a pitch.
Well, he took 2-0, Gary, and you don't want him to take here. You look for a ball, and not necessarily trying to hit a home run. You've got a guy with a lot of speed. Just lead it off. Get on base.
3-1 to Beltran, and he takes a strike. He thought it was ball 4.
Oh, that's his pitch that home plate umpire Paul Emmel's been calling all night. That borderline knee-high strike. He's been consistent. And there's the overhead at plenty of plate.
3-2 on the way. Popped up foul. That'll come out of play. Beltran with 14 home runs on the season. Started the night 3rd in the National League in slugging percentage. There you see what the Mets have done in 1-run games. And at home, they're 13-2 in 1-run games, including those 7 walk-off wins. And David Wright has had a few of those. Curveball struck him out. Brandon Lyon coming with a 3-2 curve, and he fans Beltran one away.
Well, he completely fools Beltran. He swings at this like he's never seen a curve before in his life. Way out in front. Well, here it is. You see the tumbling. That is almost a drop. Carlos way out in front.
So now Lyon faces Carlos Delgado, his former Toronto teammate, in 2001 and 2002. And Delgado swings and misses, 0-1.
An 84-mile-an-hour change.
David Wright waits on deck. Delgado 0 for 3 tonight, 3 for his last 34. And he takes the fastball for a strike, 0-2.
And there's that borderline knee-high strike that Emmel's been calling a strike all night. Shades of Dutch Renner, the old umpire in my day. Dutch was one of the best umpires in the game. Always called that borderline low strike.
And he was loud. Struck him out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Brandon Lyon. 2 out and nobody on. Well,
now the curveball here gets him out in front. Away. And there's, you can't see the grip because of the gloves. Got it covered, but look at the spin. Right into a good spot and got Carlos out in front. Both Carlos.
Well, 4 times this year, David Wright has driven in a run that has ended a game. Bats here with 2 out and nobody on. So this time, unlike the other 4, it's had 3 walk-off hits and a sacrifice fly that ended a game. This time he'd have to hit the ball out of the park. 2-0. David is 1 for 3 tonight. Had a base hit to right back in the 7th.
Well, Lyons throws hard too. He's got a good arm.
Behind 2-0 on right. And that one got Johnny Estrada and got him good.
Everybody's getting hammered back there. Good cut by David. He might have been looking for something in to Jack, and you see that. Oh man, that hurts.
Off the right shoulder. No fun to be a catcher, is it? Here's the AOL game summary. The story: Martinez and Webb. They were both brilliant. Want a better high-speed internet? You belong at AOL. 2 out and nobody on. Last of the 9th. Scoreless game. 2-1 to right. Strike on the outside edge. 2-2.
Boy, that's a good pitch. 2-1. And we'll see right here. It's got the corner. Emil's been calling a fine game back there. That's nipping black.
Two from Lyon. Breaking ball misses. And struck out Beltran and Delgado on curveballs. Tried to do the same to right. Now it's 3-2.
Don't fall in love with that pitch.
3-2 to David Wright. To another breaking ball, and David fouled it off.
He took something off of that and kind of gave it away in his motion a little bit. He slowed down his arm speed on this slow curve, and this has got lots of plate. And you don't do that with David Wright, who goes so well the other way with 2 strikes. Got away with one there.
Throwing 2 curveballs in a row. Fastball grounded to third, foul. If it's fair, Tracy's got it because, well, he's standing on the line.
No doubles.
Outfield playing as deep as they can to keep the ball from getting over their heads. David with 8 home runs on the season. 3-2. Struck him out. Brandon Lyons strikes out the side in the last of the 9th. And for the 9th time this season in 52 games, the Mets are going to extra innings. Battle of first place teams here in New York. No score, great pitching, but also great defense tonight. Johnny Estrada with the throw. Jose Valentin with the dive. Eric Burns with the stretch. And Lastings Milledge with the gun. No score as we start the 10th. Sean Green rips a base hit to right field, leading off against Billy Wagner. So Wagner starting his 2nd inning, and Green greets him with a first pitch single. And the Diamondbacks have the lead run aboard with Johnny Estrada coming up.
Well, first ball, fastball hitting, a ball out over the plate. Good hitting by Green. Green's one of the finer hitters in the league, obviously.
So here's Estrada, and let's see how Bob Melvin plays it here. Estrada's been his leading RBI guy this year. You got the number 8 hitter Orlando Hudson coming up, and Estrada may not know the bunt sign, so he and Carlos Tosca, the third base coach, are going to have a little face-to-face chat. Jorge Julio on the right. Brandon Metters on the left. Looks like Julio's going to get the chance if there's a save opportunity. Metters getting ready otherwise.
Well, Estrada's a much better hitter left-handed, and they're going to play it safe here. Conservative would be a better term.
He was showing bunt before that throw to first. Wagner pitching his 2nd inning. Wagner has pitched 2 innings on 2 prior occasions this year. Estrada looking awful, trying to poke at that ball. I think I'd take the bunt off after that one.
be a little inclined to do that.
Problem with Estrada, of course, is he's so slow. Any ground ball is a virtually guaranteed double play.
You got a fastball pitcher out there. It's an 0-1 count. It's a tough count to put a hit and run on.
Would Green try to steal a base? Estrada again. Just horrible bunting technique, and it's 0-2.
Well, he's in a hole now. And he's probably is not bunted very much in his career.
So now, with Estrada in a 2-strike hole, David Wright backing up at third base. He's showing bunt. Did he go? He did. Estrada was walking away before the call was even appealed down to Bruce Fleming. That made it easy for Bruce to punch him out.
I just find this so hard to believe that you would bunt one of your hitters with 2 strikes after the 2 attempts prior. Anytime, I don't care if he's a great bunter. That's hard to believe.
Well, that was a dreadful exhibition of bunting. Now 1 out and 1 on. Here's Orlando Hudson, who's 1 for 3. Delgado was off the bag when Wagner made that throw. Hudson hitting much better as a right-hand batter this year. 286, just 213 from the left side. Green, a one-time 35 stolen base man, but he's got only 3 this year. Green, at one point in his career, had a 35-35 season with Toronto, but he's a long way from those days. There he goes. Loduca can't get it out of his mitt, and Green has a stolen base, his 4th of the year.
Well, 4 stolen base for Green, and a lot of times Loduca was set up in and the ball was away, got caught in his webbing.
So now the Diamondbacks have a runner in scoring position for the first time since the 2nd inning.
And those kind of stolen bases, you just take a chance. As soon as the left-hander breaks from the belt, you just go home. You just steal.
Breaking ball hit to short. Green has to hustle back to the bag. Throwing behind him. He got him. Reyes with a heads-up play as Sean Green took 1 too many steps toward third and paid for it. 2 men down.
Well, a bit of a risk here, but Reyes oh boy, I thought he was safe. Let's see. Nope, he got him.
Well, he got the glove down. I'm not sure if he tagged him.
That's a close play.
I'm not sure he tagged him, but the glove was down, and that prompted Mike Winters to make the call. So there's a big out, and more importantly, taking that lead run out of scoring position, and Connor Jackson batting for the pitcher. Jackson had a 3-run homer in the game last night, started the first 2 games of the series at first base. He's the regular first baseman, and Wagner falls behind him 2-0. No score. We're in the 10th. Diamondbacks playing only their 3rd extra inning game. They're 1-1. Mets playing their 9th. They're 4-4. And now Wagner behind 3-0 and in danger of pushing that go-ahead run back into scoring position. Craig Counsell waiting on deck.
Well, there you see the records in extra innings, both at 500, both teams.
But the Mets a lot more experienced. But Wagner walks Jackson, and so that moves that lead run back to second base. So the effect of the play that Reyes made to throw behind Green is taken right away. So 2 out and 2 on. And now Wagner, after walking the right-hand hitter Jackson, will take on the left-hand batting Craig Counsell. Counsell 0 for 3 in his career against Wagner. But Counsell generally a very good hitter against left-handed pitching.
Well, he's hitting .298 against lefties so far this year as Wagner leads him off with a slider for a strike. It's 14 for 47, hitting .351 with runners in scoring position.
Brandon Metters closest to you. Jorge Julio behind him. Little tapper, and Wagner off the mound. Throws out Counsell, side retired. Wagner busting Counsell inside. Cliff Floyd, Jose Valentin, and Lastings Millage coming up for the Mets in the bottom of the 10th. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Canadian Tourism Commission. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. By Aflac, ask about it at work. And by Jeep, the all-new 7-passenger Jeep Commander. It's your world. Take command. Brandon Metters takes over the pitching for Arizona as we go to the bottom of the 10th. Metters worked a scoreless inning in the series opener on Monday night.
Well, you're looking at his most importantly, the opponent's batting average.
Cliff Floyd will lead off in the bottom of the 10th. Cliff is 1 for 3 on the night. Grounded out against Metters on Monday night. And takes a strike. Jose Valentin waits on deck. And then Lastings Millage here in the bottom of the 10th.
Oh, off. I got the umpire's leg. Oh, to get his hand. Let's see.
Estrada missed. Oh, got him right on the knee.
Got him on the thigh. A little. He's getting battered.
Juaner Sanchez up in the bullpen. Billy Wagner's worked 2 innings, thrown only 21 pitches, which raises a very interesting question. Last night, for the first time in 10 years in the regular season, Joe Torre let Mariano Rivera work 3 innings because his pitch count was low. Willie's kind of in the same situation with Wagner tonight. 21 pitches in 2 innings. You wonder whether he'd even consider letting Wagner go a third.
Well, if there's a pinch hit possibility, Wagner's going to be gone. There'll be men on base.
Floyd rips one, caught right into the glove of Tony Clark, went away.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Sterling Mats and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Sterling Mats.
1 out and nobody on. Here's Jose Valentin, 1 for 3 on the night, and Metters throws a curveball for a strike. Valentin way out ahead of the breaking ball, 0-2.
Well, you see the mist here still swirling a little thicker.
Getting a little lower too. That's when it starts to become a problem. Endy Chavez grabbing a bat. 1-2 to Valentin. Pitcher spot due up 4th in the inning. So the Mets would have to get a base runner before they need a pinch hitter. Lastings Millage hitting 8th in the order on deck. 1-2 to Valentin. Takes inside. Valentin has homered each of the last 2 games after his brother Javier beat the Diamondbacks with a home run for Cincinnati on Sunday. Breaking ball pulled foul. Sandy Alomar taking possession.
You'd have made that play around 30 years ago.
Sandy, terrific infielder in his day. There's Carlos Beltran looking on. 2-2 to Valentin, up and away. Another good at bat for Valentin. He had a terrific one against Webb in the 7th inning with 2nd and 3rd and 2 out before he popped up. Battled him through 8 pitches. No score, bottom of the 10th. Blooped. Hudson back. 2 away. So 2 out and nobody on. And here's Lasting's Millage. Millage has had a rough night in his second big league start. Was overmatched in a couple of at-bats by Brandon Webb, then grounded out against Luis Vizcaíno in the 8th. And Millage takes a strike. Lastings has contributed a very strong throw from right field to gun down a runner at third base to help keep this game scoreless. Off the end of the bat to second. And Hudson throws out Millage, side retired. So we'll see whether Willie Randolph is inclined to give Wagner a third inning as we go to the 11th. Still no score. Late night train through Flushing. Mets have specialized in late nights this year. We're going to the 11th here at Shea. Billy Wagner will not get a third inning, so Willie doesn't take a pitch out of Joe Torre's book.
Well, he's gonna. He's not. He's flip-flopping the lineup. Endy Chavez is being inserted in right field in the pitcher's spot. And you look at Sanchez's numbers. Of course, he got off to that terrific start.
There's Chavez now in right. He'll bat 9th. Sanchez will bat 8th. And Eric Burns will lead off for the Diamondbacks in the top of the 11th. Burns, 3 homers in the first 2 games of this series. Made a bid for another one in the 6th inning tonight, sending Beltran back to the warning track. Burns 1 for 4, has a 14-game hitting streak. Sanchez was the winning pitcher Monday night, working a 1-2-3 ninth. And Burns pops the first pitch up. And Delgado has it. 1 away. 1 pitch, 1 retired by Duaner Sanchez. And here's Chad Tracy. Tracy 1 for 4, singled back in the 6th inning. Sanchez making his 26th appearance, so he's appeared in exactly half the games this year. 1-0 to Tracy.
Now, he's been the workhorse in this bullpen. He likes to pitch.
One-0 to Tracy. Yeah, that's a strike. 1-1. Well, last year Duaner was in 79 games with the Dodgers, and he's right about the same pace right now. Had that incredible hot streak to begin the season. Had a rough patch. Bad outing in Florida last weekend, but bounced back with the good outing on Monday night. Well, how many times have we seen that this year? Those double-digit numbers on the scoreboard.
We're going to get our director and hammer him when this game's over. I don't want to see that number.
Sanchez gets the fastball over 1-2. Well, the Mets have played as many as 16 innings in a game this year.
Fastball away. No, actually in, excuse me. You saw the late movement there.
Sanchez ahead on Tracy, 1-2. And the begoggled one delivers. Now back. Not sure if Sanchez's goggles inspire as much poetry as Jason Phillips did. I mean, Jason's goggles were just, I mean, they were beyond the pale. Struck him out. Good changeup by Sanchez, gets Tracy 2 away.
Oh, look at the catcher set up away. Nice change right to the glove. It's probably sinking outside for a ball. Yes, sir. He went fishing. This started out on the outside corner, and the movement, you see the sideways spin, gets that ball to run and sink. Good pitch.
So 2 out and nobody on. And Luis Gonzalez, the batter. Gonzo is 0 for 4 and is looking for his first hit in this series. And Sanchez throws a strike. Gonzalez 0 for 10 in this series and has now gone 127 at bats without a home run. And the curveball in for a strike. And Sanchez looking like his solid self ahead 0-2. Just missed. 1-2 to Gonzalez. One-two pitch. Up the middle. Reyes is there. Throws out Gonzalez. Side retired. Sanchez with a 1-2-3 inning. And the Mets will take another crack at it in the bottom of the 11th. Don't miss the big series at Shea when the Mets take on Barry Bonds and the Giants at 7 p.m. Friday and 1 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. It's the year you've been waiting for, so what are you waiting for? For tickets, get to Mets.com now. Endy Chavez leads off the last of the 11th inning, up for the first time. He got the winning rally started on Monday night in the bottom of the 9th with a double. He'll try and get it started again against Brandon Webb, who pitched a 1-2-3/10. 1-1 to Chavez. Endy hitting at .295. He's been a very pleasant surprise as the extra outfielder as Reyes waits to hit next, and then Loduca here in the 11th. Curveball fouled. 1-2 to Chavez.
Well, Chavez, you are 100% correct, has done everything the Mets could possibly want from him. He did a wonderful job when Beltran went down and he subbed for him for that 8-9 games.
Holds one foul.
Played solid defense, has gotten big hits, been contributed in a big way so far this season.
'26-year-old Brandon Webb. Endy loses the bat but made contact to keep the at bat alive.
Well, this curveball stays up. It's away and stays up. Endy just out in front.
No score, bottom of the 11th. Chavez leading off. Wastes one away. The Phillies lost their game this afternoon to Washington 3-2. The Braves lead their game 9-2 over the Dodgers in the 8th. One-two pitch. Slap toward the hole. Counsell can't make the play. Chavez might have beaten it out anyway. And the Mets have the leadoff man on in the bottom of the 11th.
Well, speed kills. Watch Counsell's head. No, not really. I'm sorry. Forgive me. He just knew he had to rush. Speed does kill. He knew he did not have. He had to do it real quick, make the play, and rushed it. I thought he took his eye off the ball originally. He did not.
So Chavez, who led off the winning rally with a base hit on Monday night, leads off the 11th inning with a base hit, and Reyes up there to bunt. Reyes 0 for 4 on the night. Drives the bunt down. Metters just barely gets Reyes at first, but more importantly, Chavez now at second base carrying the potential winning run. So Reyes, who couldn't get the bunt down on Monday night, you remember, then got a base hit, gets it down this time.
Well, he gets it down here, and he's running so. He got that ball further down the line. He might have. This throw might have been. Might have hit him. And you see the bat level to the ground. Metters knows he's got to hurry. Almost hit Reyes.
So now the Mets are a base hit away from winning it with the speed of Chavez at second base. And LaDuca, who's 1 for 4 on the night, will try and get it done. LaDuca almost got a hold of one in the 8th inning. Hit it halfway back on the warning track in left center, and Burns ran it down. Takes the curveball for a strike. Beltran to follow. LaDuca 0 for 2 in his career against Brandon Metters. Each team now with 6 hits, no score, bottom of the 11th. And Metters keeping an eye on Chavez. Hudson trying to make sure he doesn't get too far away, although on just about any base hit to the outfield, Chavez is going to score. Sean Green has a strong arm in right field. Gonzalez has a particularly weak arm in left field. Nothing in 2 to LaDuca.
Well, this is just a little average little cutter here, not much. You see the little circle, a tight little circle, didn't break that much, in a good spot.
So now LaDuca finds himself in a 2-strike hole. Lifts one along the right field line, slicing away from Clark. Can't get to it. This didn't have enough air under it for Tony Clark to get back there. See what LaDuca has done after an 0-2 count. That's remarkable. 7 for 20.
Well, he's a tough strikeout, and he goes the other way naturally. So, thus the high average with 2 strikes.
Only 12 strikeouts this year for LaDuca, including 1 tonight. And he wastes that one away. Took it almost out of the catcher's mitt.
Well, he's protecting here. They wanted the ball up and in, and you can see he missed, but got it away. He got the right elevation, but the wrong corner of the plate. See if, because he missed and it was another pitch away, if Estrada wants to come back with it again.
0-2 to LaDuca. Chavez at second and 1 out. Scoreless game in the 11th. Up and in, and he went around.
Oh, ask for help.
And LaDuca better watch it. Better watch it. LaDuca's already been thrown out of a game this year. And Willie Randolph comes out to protect his player and try and keep LaDuca from getting ejected. Paul Emmel is letting him go and walking away, which is the right thing to do, as LaDuca slams that bat down.
Well, Paul's got a gripe here. It's the ball up and in. He's turning a lot. He did not swing. Ask for help. I'm sorry.
Beltran takes a curveball for a strike. No way, you got to ask. I believe is what he said.
Yes.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
If he had said more in that kind of animated fashion, he might not be in the game anymore.
Well, it's the heat of battle. Umpire's got to give him a little play.
Beltran fouls it off, and Metters ahead of him 0-2. So after the leadoff hit by Chavez, Metters has gotten awfully tough. Reyes with the sacrifice. LaDuca has struck out. Now he's 0-2 on Beltran, who's 0 for 3 and a walk tonight.
Beltran has not had good cuts on breaking balls tonight at all.
Carlos leads the team in RBIs with 37. Bounces this one to Clark. Foul. David Wright 2 batters away. Beltran trying to get Chavez home with the winning run. Just got a piece of that. Fouled it off his foot.
Balls is cutter in. And that just got right off the knee, and that hurts. And
he's down on the ground. Tried to shake it off quickly, but it wasn't easily shook. He wears that guard on the lower part of his leg, but it hit above.
There's the rotation, the slider rotation. Oh, it's right off his knee, and that hurts.
And you can see the pain etched on Carlos's face. Ray Ramirez flexing that leg to try and shake out the pain.
Well, the Mets have a day off tomorrow.
And the fans at Shea chanting Carlos's name. And he's up. You ever foul one off your knee like that?
Yes. It hurts. And the funny thing, not the funny thing, when you get up to hit, whenever you get one hit off your leg, ankle, or shin, you get up to the plate and your legs or your leg that's gotten hit shakes. And you can't firmly put it down the ground. It shakes. It hurts.
Carlos is not sure, even though he was able to stand up straight. Mets have 2 players left on their bench. Ramon Castro, the backup catcher, and Chris Woodward, the utility man. So if Beltran had to come out, you'd have to put Woodward in the game.
He's not coming out.
Well, Beltran trying to shake off the blow to his knee, but he's going to have to do it with a 2-strike count. See if Beltran can put together a Kirk Gibson moment here.
John Wayne.
0-2 to Beltran. Remember that Metters has stood around now for 3 or 4 minutes waiting for Beltran to feel better, and he missed badly with that pitch. Delgado waits to hit next. No score, bottom of the 11th. Chavez at second and 2 down.
Curveball.
Struck him out, and the inning is over. Back-to-back strikeouts from Metters after the Mets got Chavez into scoring position. We go to the 12th at Shea, still no score.
Well, there you go. Welcome back, folks. Top of the 12th. It's just after 10 o'clock. Can you believe it? That's how fast this game is. And you're looking at Midtown there, Manhattan, and Chris Woodward will come into the game and play right field. Endy Chavez will move to center. Beltran, of course, got that foul tip off his right knee, and he is out of the game. Chavez moves to center. Woodward will bat in Beltran's spot, and Sanchez now will start his second inning of work.
So Tony Clark steps in. And a strike from Sanchez. Clark has gone 0 for 4 tonight. Struck out, flied out, grounded out twice. Sanchez worked a 1-2-3 11th, throwing only 10 pitches to get there. Ripped, base hit. Delgado guarding the line, and so Clark got it by him. Woodward cuts it off and holds Clark to a single. So a leadoff base runner for the Diamondbacks in the 12th.
Well, it's a fastball meant to get in right down the pipe, and because Delgado, we got so many Carloses on this team. He's got to guard the line here. He's not. He's caught, but you must guard the line in this situation.
So you got a very slow runner in Clark at first base. Sean Green, the batter, and takes ball one from Sanchez. Bob Melvin still has 3 players left on his bench. Could run for Clark in this spot with Andy Green or Damian Easley. Chooses not to. 2-0 the count to Green. Meanwhile, with Woodward in the game, the Mets only have 1 player left on their bench in Ramon Castro. This game just barely 3 hours old in the 12th inning. That's how good the pitching's been. To second should be 2. Valentin to Reyes. Double play. 2 out and nobody on.
Well, tailor-made, and Sanchez can do this. He's served up so many leadoff singles, gets in trouble, and then throws a double play, gets him right out of it. There's a method to his madness.
And Valentin, veteran player, despite his lack of experience at second base, took his time, knew that he had plenty of time to turn that double play. So 2 out and nobody on for Johnny Estrada, who's 1 for 4 on the night, and he pops it up. Reyes and right. Reyes takes charge. Side retired. Well, Sanchez ends up with a 6-pitch inning. We go to the bottom of the 12th. No score.
Starting from the highest to the lowest. You have 7
Well, Met fans have gotten used to running out of columns on their scorecards this year. As we go to the bottom of the 12th inning. We had a great pitcher's duel tonight. It continues, but it started with the starters. Brandon Webb, who came in at 8-0, leading the league in ERA, and he was fabulous for 7 innings. Pedro Martinez, no wins in the month of May, but 8 fabulous innings tonight. He struck out 8, didn't walk a batter, but leaves with a no decision. Pedro, for the first time in his career, has a month in which he makes 5 or more starts in which he doesn't get a win, but hardly his fault. And Brandon Metters starts his 3rd inning of relief for the Diamondbacks, the 4th Arizona pitcher. It'll be Carlos Delgado, David Wright, and Cliff Floyd up for the Mets in the bottom of the 12th. Delgado already has a 12th inning game-winning home run this year. That came against the Pirates earlier this season. And Wright has got 4 game-ending RBIs. Yeah, looks like Metters may not pitch. Bob Melvin's going to go to his bullpen. He's had Jorge Julio warming up a couple of times, and there's Jorge, who is now going to make his return to Shea Stadium. So Julio, who was traded to the Diamondbacks for El Duque, now comes in to pitch against the Mets. Well, Jorge Julio makes his return to Shea Stadium. Traded a week ago. He's made 2 appearances for the Diamondbacks. They've both been good, and now put in a tie game in the 12th inning.
Well, we know that Julio got off to the tough start. And Gary, you've got an interesting number for us with Delgado's numbers against Jorge Julio.
Well, there's what Delgado has done against Julio. 5 for 7 with 2 home runs, and that's the spot that Bob Melvin brings him into. Delgado struggling right now. 0 for 4 tonight. 3 for his last 35 as he stands in. Rally caps going at Shea as Delgado leads off the last of the 12th. And Julio misses with a fastball, and you know that Jorge's got to be a little amped coming back to Shea.
You know it.
And when he gets amped, that ball goes up. 1-1 to Delgado. Jorge got off to a miserable start here as David Wright waits to hit next, but was able to tone things down a little bit, and when he did, he enjoyed some success. Throws it by Delgado, 1-2.
Well, it's a high fastball on the outside corner. Might have been a ball. And he throws hard. We know that.
Over the mound, Counsell coming out of the shift. Delgado now 0 for 5 on the night. So the struggles continue for Carlos. 1 out and nobody on. Here's David Wright. Carlos Beltran left this game after fouling a ball off his knee in the 11th. Lasting's Millage was double switched out of the game. And so the Mets are down to 1 bench player for Willie Randolph. And that's Ramon Castro, the backup catcher. And Wright hits one in the air to left field. Gonzalez coming in. 2 away. Wright had a mighty cut but got under that one. 2 out and nobody on.
Oh, you're looking for a fastball, middle in, first pitch. Just you swing up like this. The fastball's up and it takes a lot of perfect timing. I think he pulled off a little bit on that towards the end of the bat.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Cliff Floyd. Cliff is 1 for 4 on the night. Takes a strike from Julio. Jorge Julio, the 5th pitcher for the Diamondbacks tonight.
Yet to throw a breaking ball. He's coming in throwing cheddar.
Boyd fouls it back. And now Julio ahead 0-2.
Good cut by Cliff.
Oh, 2 to Floyd. Struck him out. Jorge Julio comes in and gets the Mets on 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 12th. On to the 13th at Shea. Still no score. Juaner Sanchez begins his 3rd inning of relief as we go to the 13th. Orlando Hudson leads off and takes a strike. Took Sanchez just 16 pitches to negotiate 2 innings. So whereas Willie Randolph did not use Billy Wagner for a 3rd inning, he does stay with Sanchez for a 3rd. And he gets ahead on Hudson 0-2. Struck him out with a changeup. 2nd strikeout for Sanchez, who has looked marvelous.
Well, we know he's got the great change. Look at the 3/4 delivery. Look at him turn the ball over. That is such a great angle. And watch as he comes on the other side of the ball and gets that side spin, which gives it the sink.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Andy Green will bat for the pitcher, Julio. Green's had 38 at bats this year, hitting .263 with a homer and 4 RBIs. Green, former University of Kentucky teammate with Brandon Webb, who started the game tonight for the Diamondbacks. 1-1.
Well, that's called being fooled by a slider.
Green's been a part-time player with the Diamondbacks 3 straight years now. Pops this one up. Might be playable for LaDuca. 2 away. So Sanchez dominating the Diamondbacks. 2 out and nobody on. He's faced 8 batters and thrown 22 pitches. Don't forget, after the game, Nissan Postgame Live. But if you've been following the Mets this year, you know there's no telling when this one might end.
I may have to call my neighbor to go over and let my dog out.
Two out and nobody on. Here's Craig Counsell when he takes a strike. Medical report on Carlos Beltran, bruised right knee. We knew that. Being reevaluated by the doctors right now, so they have no word beyond that. Jose Valverde up in the bullpen for Arizona, along with Jason Grimsley. 1-1 to Counsell, who's 1 for 5 on the night. Duaner Sanchez has been spectacular since coming on in relief to start the 11th inning.
What a great acquisition for the Mets.
And Counsell lines one, base hit into right center. Over is Woodward, cuts it off, but Counsell heads to second, and he'll make it easily with a 2-out double. So Craig Counsell with the second hit off Duaner Sanchez and the 7th hit of the game for the Diamondbacks.
Well, it's a changeup. Right on it. Counsell rifles it into the gap. And a 2-out RBI is big trouble for the Mets.
So here's Eric Burns. Burns is 1 for 5 on the night. He has drawn the wrath of the fans here with his animated nature during this series and the 3 home runs he's hit. And Sanchez misses ball 1. Burns with his hit tonight has a 14-game hitting streak. There you see what he's done with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, something the Diamondbacks have specialized in this year. No score, 13th inning. Broken back grounder, right, on the move, side retired. Duaner Sanchez with 3 terrific innings, and the Mets come up in the bottom of the 13th, trying again to win it. Well, everything else almost over in the National League. The Phillies lost their game to Livan Hernandez and the Nationals. The Braves won their game 9-3 behind Tim Hudson. See the Giants winning at Florida. They'll be here on Friday night. The Milwaukee Brewers continue their struggles. They fall under 500 with their loss at Pittsburgh. And the Astros celebrated the signing of Roger Clemens by losing in extra innings to St. Louis. Yankees, after a long rain delay, up 2-0 in the 8th behind Mike Messina. The Red Sox up 8-6 on Toronto as they play the 9th. Veteran right-hander Jason Grimsley on to pitch to Jose Valentin. Valentin 1 for 4. And Ramon Castro out on deck to bat for the pitcher Duaner Sanchez. Castro the last man left on the Mets bench. And Valentin takes a strike, 1-1. .36-year-old Jose Valentin facing 38-year-old Jason Grimsley as 40-year-old Tom Glavine gets set to maybe pinch hit if it's a bunting situation. 2-1. Problem for Grimsley has always been throwing strikes. He's always had a good sinker, but has always walked a lot of people. This year his control's been in check, though. Only 8 walks in 27 innings. Grimsley now 38 years old. 2-2 to Valentin. Grimsley last year was with the Orioles, had Tommy John surgery late in 04, and so he sat out the first half of last year, pitched in only 22 games. Started his career with the Phillies back in 1989. 2-2 to Valentin. Fights it off. Well, the Diamondbacks started with a sinker baller, and they're trying to finish with a sinker baller, and I didn't know it was Twins Day at the ballpark. Those are lovely matching outfits.
Aren't you gals getting tired?
Yeah, they look revved. Lots of sugar and caffeine. The other way toward the left field corner. That ball is up against the wall. And Valentin has a leadoff double in the bottom of the 13th. Jose Valentin continues to pay dividends.
Well, he takes what the pitcher gives, and that's a sinker away. Don't try to pull this ball. And you see right here, it's up. Doesn't sink when it's up. It stays flat, and he goes right with it. If 2 hops the wall, excuse me, 1 hops the wall, Mets are in business.
Well, I thought the Mets might use Glavine in this spot to bunt, but Willie's going to go with Ramon Castro to try to win it. Castro hitting a .268, 0 for 2 as a pinch hitter. No score, bottom of the 13th. Valentin at second and nobody out. And Castro misses the first one.
Well, Willie had the options here of putting Glavine up there to bunt.
Pickoff try at second, and Valentin gets back.
And now you use your last bench player. A bit surprised.
Yeah, I thought for sure he'd use Glavine if a bunting situation came up. You got Chavez on deck and then Reyes behind him. But Willie's going for it right here, hoping Castro can drive in the winner.
Castro's got to try to get him over, that's for sure.
1-1. That's what Ramon has done with runners in scoring position. Not good. Mets have had troubles the last few days with runners in scoring position. And they're 0 for 5 tonight after going 0 for 15 last night. Broken bat grinder. Valentin will advance. And that's the most important part of the play. Valentin recognizing how slowly that ball was hit, able to move up despite the ball hit in front of him.
And you're not lying right there. This is Ramon just jammed and extreme heads up by Valentin. And the Mets just continue to play sound baseball. Infield in. Are they going to load the bases?
How about a game-winning squeeze play from Endy Chavez? Would you buy that?
At this point,
Mets have walked off in every other way.
I'll take it any way I can get it.
The infield is in. Valentin at third and 1 out. Chavez waits. Ball 1. Chavez up for the second time. Led off the 11th with an infield hit. The infield is in. The outfield is in.
You can see the outfield playing way shallow. I'd bring him in a little tighter.
Only play as deep as you can throw.
He wants to go home.
That's a game winner for Endy Chavez. And the Mets post their 8th walk-off win of the year. Chavez drives home the winner at the bottom of the 13th inning. And the Mets win it 1-0. Walk-off fever is alive and well at Shea Stadium. The Mets take the rubber game from the Diamondbacks, winning 2 out of 3 with both the wins in walk-off fashion. A 13-inning thriller, and the Mets break up the pitcher's duel as Endy Chavez plays hero.
1-0 count, and again another sinker that's up, that stays flat, and Chavez stays in. And that's a winner. And here it is. Watch the sinker just stay flat. Didn't sink. Nice hitting Chavez. He's just done a fabulous job.
And Duaner Sanchez, who was the winning pitcher on Monday night, is the very well-deserved winning pitcher tonight. Mets are getting used to this. 8 walk-off wins. Chris Connor standing by with Jose Valentin, who scored the winning run.
Thanks, Gary. Jose, how do you guys continue to do this night in and night out? You just never stop believing, do you?
Well, I mean, it's something that we like to do it a lot easier. But, you know, I think that's the way, you know, win is a win. And I think that our championship teams, you know, if you want to win it all, you got to do it the hard way sometimes. You know, like I said, we like to do it the right way, you know, nice and easy, score some runs. But like I said, I mean, this game is crazy, you know, it's not easy. And, you know, we faced the top pitcher today in Webb. And it's a great match. I mean, that was a fun game, you know, between Pedro and where you got to tip the hat to both sides. But like I said, when you want to win, you know, you never give up, and you just got to work hard, and you know, we just do it.
How difficult was Webb to touch tonight?
Well, he's a guy who's not overpowered, but he knows how to pitch. You know, it's a great sinker ball. You know, he throws strikes, and you know, he's a guy that he paints the spot. You know, he hits the spot, and it's tough to hit up for the guy like that when he throws strikes both sides of the play. And, you know, you have to go there and you try to get some good at-bats, you know, try to pitch, make him pitch, go long in the count, and try to do your best.
One final thing. Once you got Webb out of the game, did you feel confident then that your bullpen was better than their bullpen, and that would end up being the difference?
Well, definitely. You know, when things hasn't been easy for 9 innings against Webb, you know, it's something that you want to see that guy get out of there as soon as possible. As soon as he went out, you know, our chances was good. You know, even the bullpen it was a great matchup between both of them. But like I said, you know, we just keep working until we got it done.
Okay, thanks, Jose.
You're welcome.
All right, Gary.
All right, Chris, and this was a tremendous ball game here tonight. We knew it was going to be a terrific pitcher's duel going in, Pedro Martinez and Brandon Webb. It was every bit of that. And I think Jose is right. Once Webb was out of the game, the Mets felt as though they had the upper hand.
Well, I tell you what, they had the upper hand, so they thought, but the bullpen for Arizona matched the Mets bullpen. The Mets bullpen again. Johnny on the spot, just an outstanding all year. And Endy Chavez. How about Endy Chavez and Jose Valentin?
Two guys who were extra players when the year began. Chavez has played more than he might have anticipated because of injury. And with Carlos Beltran going down tonight, bruising his knee, you don't know how serious it is. He might be getting more playing time again. And Valentin, the big double leading off the 13th inning, scores the winning run. And he's been unbelievable the last few weeks.
Well, his base running, too, on Ramon Castro, pinched hit for Duaner Sanchez. And got jammed, hit the slow ground ball to shortstop. And Valentin very alertly realized the ball's hit slow enough where you can advance to third and set up Chavez for the game winner.
So the Mets get 5 terrific innings out of Billy Wagner and Duaner Sanchez. Wagner for 2, Sanchez for 3, winds up getting the win as the Mets win it 1-0 on the walk-off hit by Endy Chavez in the bottom of the 13th inning. Be sure to join us for our next broadcast Friday night at 7 o'clock as the Mets open a series here at Shea against Barry Bonds and the San Francisco Giants. Coming up next, Nissan post-game live. Now, this was a pitcher's duel to remember tonight between Pedro Martinez and Brandon Webb. Martinez 8 shutout innings, struck out 8, didn't walk anybody. Brandon Webb getting ground ball after ground ball for his 7 innings. Terrific defense. Valentin, who would score the winner, made a great play. Eric Burns taking an extra base hit away. Lastings Millage with the throw of the night. Mets win 1-0. Let's go to Brian Custer in our Sportsnet New York studios for a look at what's coming up on Geico Sports Night.